Friday, and I'm not just the only one who's excited that it's Friday. I know that all of my team members are excited that it's Friday. I'm not too sure. We've got work tomorrow because she'd be joining at 6 a.m. for the NPP primaries, but in the meantime, it is still Friday, and thank you so much. Good morning, and welcome to the AM show. Thank you so much for always choosing us. It's been a good week, and let's wrap it up so much. But this morning, matters arising within Ghana's two dominant political parties take center stage as both the NDC and the NPP make critical decisions that could shape their future direction. First, the National Democratic Congress has announced a major step in its internal reorganization, and the party has directed all government appointees who intend to contest in its internal elections to resign at least 6 months before the polls. Now, the directive affects ministers and their deputies, chief executives, managing directors, and metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives, but excludes board chairpersons and members. It is a move the party says it's aimed at curbing greed, promoting fairness, and ensuring equal opportunity within the party. Now, under the new guidelines, those contesting at the constituency level must resign by April 2026. Regional contenders by May 2026 and national aspirants by June 2026. The NDC really insists that the directive will be enforced without exceptions as part of its broader reorganization agenda. So that's the NDC. Quite an eventful delivery yesterday by the General Secretary. Now, also Saturday, which is just tomorrow, January 31, the spotlight shifts to the New Patriotic Party as delegates decide who leads the party into its next phase, a period defined by the need for unity, rebuilding, and strategic direction, with most opinion polls tipping former Vice President Dr Bawumia and former Assistant Central MP Kennedy Agyapong as the front runners. The race has become a clear contest between, continuity and disruption, establishment politics, and populist appeal. Now, beyond the personalities, the key question remains: what kind of leadership does the NPP need after its electoral defeat? Is the party seeking to consolidate its base or radically redefine itself? Well, we'll get some answers to that. All of this will mean absolutely nothing, but tomorrow we shall get to know the meaning of their choices and their decision. But prior to that, to help us unpack them, we're joined by Dixon Chredua, Member of Parliament for Brekum West. Andrew Apiadanko is Director of Legal and Constitutional Affairs at the United Party. And also Professor Isaac Boedi is Dean of Accounting and Finance at UPSA, and Professor Smart Sapon is Senior Research Fellow at Kumasi Technical University. It's a conversation you do not want to miss today. And of course, again, it is Friday. I know that you have missed Noella so much. Of course, today she'll come your way with e-corner. Don't miss it for anything at all. All of this comes your way shortly after the news updates and sports. I am MFA Akosiadati. Always a pleasure. Please stay. Thank you so much for staying with us. Here are some updates in the news. From Techiman, Joy News' Anna Sabit reports on a high-stake, heavily secured election in the Benue East region, where over 8,000 NPP delegates are deciding not just a party leader, but the candidates they believe can rescue power in 2028, with some regional leadership openly rallying behind former Vice President Dr Bawumia, while police prepare to guarantee a peaceful process.
The political future of Ghana's largest opposition party will be decided in the next few hours. From the heart of the Borno East region to every corner of the nation, over 200,000 delegates of the New Patriotic Party are voting to choose the leader who they believe can bring the party back to power in 2028. Here in the Borno East region, where over 8,000 delegates are expected to cast their ballots, the message from officials is clear. This will be a peaceful, orderly and secure election. The regional police have stationed significant personnel here with a commitment that no private security or party-affiliated individuals will be allowed near the voting areas. ACP Stephen Bodu is the Deputy Regional Police Commander.
We are fully prepared. We have 11 constituencies. We deployed 825 personnel across board. We have 75 for every polling station. Outside is also made provision for rapid response to take care of any issue that may crop up in the course of the voting.
For a smooth election, the backbone is a flawless logistical operation. The Electoral Commission has taken full control, a move designed to guarantee neutrality and credibility. Dr. Gabriel Deyabwa is the regional EC chairperson.
One good thing about this election is that, as at this time, at this stage, everything has been handed over to Electoral Commission. So we are in fully charge of the conduct of the election. No party executive, no election committee again. So we are going to handle it the way we have been handling normal elections. Yeah, so nobody should entertain any fear that any political party chairman or secretary can influence anything. No. At this stage, it's the Electoral Commission that has taken charge.
While the EC manages the process, the delegates hold the power. And here in the Borno East region, a significant current is flowing in one direction. Regional Party Chairman Ibrahim Baba Bukari has already made a decision. He says Dr. Bawumia is the more prepared candidate to win power back in 2028.
The most prepared candidate among all, the most disciplined candidate among all as it stands now, is Dr. Bawumia. He is the candidate, I think, in my opinion, that should we vote for him, he will be able to wrestle power from the NDC come 2028. And that is the reason why I'm for Bawumia. I'm for Bawumia not because of my selfish interest, but for the betterment of the party.
Another delegate we spoke with and a key member of the party in Techiman South, Mohammed Mukaram Abdallah, says the experience and popularity of the former vice president puts him at a pole position not just to lead the NPP, but to rescue power in 2028.
He was on the ballot in 2008 election. He was on the ballot 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024. So for now, I can say boldly that taking John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, away, Dr. Bawumia is the most popular politician in the country. And I think selling him will be easy for us as a party.
But with such high stakes comes the risk of tension. The question has been, what is being done to keep the peace? The police response has been overwhelming and unequivocal.
From all indications, we're going to have a peaceful primaries. There are those who want to foment trouble and later go and cry victim. We're ready for them.
So as the voting begins in the next few hours, the picture here in Borno East is one of robust security, clear administrative control and a dominant sentiment among delegates favoring the former vice president. But the final word rests not with the chairman or sentiment, but with the individual delegates in the secrecy of the booth. This is where the 2028 journey truly begins. Anas Sabit, Joy News, Techiman.
Now, the growing accommodation deficits in Ghana's tertiary institutions continue to place pressure on students, affecting academic performance, discipline, and overall welfare, especially as enrollment numbers rise. At Ketan in the Second Takoradi Metropolis, a private sector intervention is offering some relief. The Just More Group has commissioned a new hostel facility for students of the University of Mines and Technology School of Railway and Infrastructure Development, an initiative stakeholders say is not only easing accommodation challenge, but also enhancing learning and student life.
At Katan in the Skandita crowded metropolis, concrete and steel rose, but what was truly commissioned was hope, a new hostel facility for students of the University of Mines and Technology School of Railway and Infrastructure Development, a project driven by the Just More Group. Responding to a challenge many tertiary institutions in Ghana know too well, accommodation. For Dr. Justice Amo, this project was born out of simple but powerful belief that students thrive when they live in safe, decent, and supportive environments.
Many tertiary institutions face serious accommodation challenges, and the Esikado campus is not exception. These hostels are therefore our humble contribution to reducing that burden and helping to create a space that supports learning, discipline, and personal development. The Jasmine Hotels concept includes space for religious, recreation, and healthcare facilities. It also includes a training and counseling center for our dear students. And each block has a capacity to accommodate over 500 students.
The Vice Chancellor of UMass, Professor Richard Kwesi Amankwa, puts the urgency into context.
The UMass School of Railway and Infrastructure Development began in 2001 with a student population of 241. And at that time, because we had just 241 students, the railway hostel or hall was capable of taking care of more than 95% of the students. Currently, the number is 3,300. And I'm hoping that by the time the admission season is over, we will be about 3,500. With this large number and the path that the school was working on, it became necessary for us to get some very strategic partners to support the work that is going on here.
Former Railway Minister Joe Garte used the occasion to remind both leaders and young people of a deeper lesson. Quoting scriptures, he urged the youth to write their vision clearly, because even if the dream delays, it will surely come to pass.
So what will you be remembered for? What will you leave behind? We are charting a course in this world that when people start judging you, you will not be there. People will remember you for the good things that you have done. So my advice to you young people is that you are all in leadership position. Have your own vision. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 says, write your vision upon the table. Though it shall tarry, it shall come to pass.
The building inspector at the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, Ebenezer Wisdom Obeng, has issued a stern warning to residents that all buildings illegally constructed along waterways in the metropolis will be demolished. The warning follows a decongestion exercise carried out on Thursday at major markets in Cape Coast as part of ongoing efforts to restore order in the city's main training center. Mr. Obeng explained that with the onset of the rainy season, protecting lives and property has become critical, stressing that unauthorized structures along waterways pose serious flooding and disaster risk.
The Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, in collaboration with other metropolitan security agencies, carried out a decongestion exercise at the Kotokoraba and Abra markets to ensure the free flow of traffic, promote orderly trading, and enhance public safety. According to the coordinating director of the Assembly, Azuma Brima, the decongestion exercise forms part of efforts to restore decorum in the metropolis's major trading centers.
We want to bring some decency into our markets. If you are passing through Kotokoraba in the evening, from 12 o'clock up to about 5 to 6, for a journey that should take you about 2-3 minutes, you spend about 10 to 15 minutes to be able to go through. Abura Market is west. It's a major road linking Cape Coast to Upper Dinchrais, to Elmina and other places. So the traffic there is huge. And selling on the pavement and the walkways have made the traffic there very worse. People don't want to pass through Kotokraba. But it's a major route that you cannot, Abra. It's a major route you cannot avoid. So today's exercise is to bring some decency and to also allow traffic to flow freely so that people can go about their business without much difficulty.
The Abra District Commander, George Kojodo, stressed that the initiative will not be a one-off activity, but a sustained exercise to maintain order in the markets.
I'm told that they have done this thing countless number of times, but have not been sustained. But this time around, we are focused, and it's going to be sustained. You know, I'm just a week old in town, but they briefed me that they have embarked on this before, but 100 meters away when the enforcers leave, they come back to the same spot and law and order is broken. But this time around, we are going to sustain it.
The building inspector at the Metropolitan Assembly, Ebenezer Wisdom Orban, disclosed that the next phase of the operation will target structures constructed along waterways.
So after this exercise, we are embarking on those who are building on waterways. Anybody who doesn't have permits and the person is building right on waterway, we are coming on them. We will demolish all those buildings too. So right after this exercise, that is what we are going to do.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lissel Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
A research study by stakeholders in the fisheries sector on sustainable futures has revealed that a return to traditional fishing practices could help boost aquatic yields, even as the ongoing fishing close season continues to significantly impact artisanal fishing activities. Speaking at a stakeholder engagement in Cape Coast on the study dubbed the Sankofa Project, the president of the Canoe and Fishing Gear Owners Association of Ghana, Nana Kweje, said the initiative seeks to integrate indigenous knowledge and traditional fishing practices into formal fisheries management system. He further acknowledged the fisheries minister's interest in introducing a bylaw to enforce traditional fishing holidays.
The Sankofa Project is a collaborative initiative involving the University of St. Andrews in Scotland, the Canoe and Fishing Gear Owners Association of Ghana, the Fisheries Commission, and the Fisheries Committee for the West Central Gulf of Guinea. Speaking at a validation exercise on the project held in Cape Coast, a lecturer in sustainable futures at the University of St. Andrews, Dr. Ifesinachi Okafor-Yarwood, said the initiative seeks to assess the impact of fisheries policies on actors within the fisheries sector.
I'm just going to call it the Sankofa Project because that is what the local people in Ghana have called it, because the main impetus for it is that we wanted to understand how men and women are affected by fisheries conservation policies, in this instance, fisheries close season. We also then wanted to know whether there are lessons we can learn from how our ancestors conserved the fish stock, and when we learn that lessons, whether there are ways we can integrate those knowledge with scientific practices for a more equitable fisheries practices, because we are finding, at least from the existing research that currently is available not only in Ghana but other West African countries, that some of the conservation measures are pushing people further into poverty. And so we wanted to know, one, what is the impact of fisheries closure on men and women? And two, are there lessons that we can learn from how our ancestors conserved fish so that we can bring it back today with the view of ensuring more equitable fisheries conservation practices?
The president of the Canoe and Fishing Gear Owners Association of Ghana, Nana Kweje, noted that the project also focuses on examining the gendered effects of the fishing close season on the artisanal fishing sector.
You may have heard of the minister's interest in working with the local government to have a bylaw in place to enforce the traditional fishing holiday, because the preliminary findings that were shared suggest that across the communities, fishers are ready and wish that the traditional holiday is enforced to the letter for every community to observe. instead of the current situation where some communities observe and some communities do not observe. And so we are looking forward to the ministry implementing the recommendations that will come out of this.
Also present, the Central Regional Director of Fisheries, Emmanuel Kwame Dovlo, assured stakeholders that fishers will be actively involved in data collection, adding that the law will be firmly enforced to address compliance challenges.
We will try and see how best regularly we can obtain data from the fishers, because if they also contribute data, that is where they will support what we are doing. For compliance issues, I'm ready to enforce the law. So I'll make sure that all those who engage in illegal fishing, they are brought to book and the law takes its course. I'm ready to undertake that action.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lesol reports for Joy.
First in business update, the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies is pushing back against the Bank of Ghana's deadline for savings and loans companies to meet the new minimum capital requirements. The association agrees with the sector reforms but finds the 31st December 2026 deadline for existing companies to raise 50 million Ghana cedis and 100 million for new entrants unrealistic. Speaking to Joy Business, Chief Executive Officer of the association, Chinebua Kodia said they will be engaging the regulator for a transitional bond or an extension of the deadline to accommodate current players who cannot meet the requirement.
When we raise the challenge that we see has to do with the 11 months duration that the central bank has given. We are of the view that that is too short a time, and by Monday, the central bank will have an official position from us on the timeline, because it just came yesterday. And so our institutions, the boards and CEOs are meeting today. Some met, tomorrow some also meet. So it's about 11 months duration that has been given, which is too short. Of course, if you have to let somebody who is operating a microfinance company raise a capital from 2 million to 50 million, I am not sure any investor will be just willing to just dish out 48 million within 11 months. Even when you are dealing with raising new capital, we know it is not 11 months period. And so it's something that we know the regulator has a listening ear, and he will listen to our concerns.
And on to cocoa, as prices have come under renewed pressure as the global market grapples with declining demand and regulatory uncertainty. Even as favorable weather lifted harvest expectations across Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. There's more in this Business Desk report.
Global cocoa prices have fallen sharply at the start of 2026, raising fresh concerns over Ghana's export earnings and rural incomes. As at January 22nd, cocoa futures in both New York and London are trading at a multi-year lows, weighed down by weakening global demand for chocolate, particularly in Europe and parts of Asia. For Ghana, the world's second-largest cocoa producer, the price decline comes at a sensitive time, with cocoa remaining a major source of foreign exchange and government revenue. Lower prices could narrow export receipts and complicate fiscal planning, despite ongoing effort to stabilize the economy. Industry data show a sharp slowdown in cocoa grinders in key consuming markets, signaling softer demand even as favorable weather conditions in West Africa point to improve harvest prospects this season. While stronger output may support supply, analysts warn that prolonged demand weaknesses and rising inventories could continue to cut prices, exposing farmers to income pressures and increasing volatility in Ghana's cocoa sector through 2026.
Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin on the show, but quickly before sports is commodities.
Hi, Richard. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're a hard man to find.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm always here.
I've been chasing you since December.
December is not a good month to chase.
It's not a good month. Okay.
December is for family and Christmas and those things.
Unwinding.
Unwinding,
okay.
Yes.
Well,
anyway.
With that out of the way, I'm sure now you have a clear mind and a lot of motivation to attack the new year.
Definitely.
But let's start from the elections that you won and the first 8 months. Yeah. How would you describe the first months that you've had in charge as president of the GOC?
Interesting. I mean, of course, I was happy to have won, and I had we came with a lot of vim because there's lots of things we wanted to do. So we've tried to do quite a number of things that we set out to do. But of course, with these things, there are always challenges along the way. And each year you can improve on things. But if I have to say that, it's been a very good year, and it's been very interesting as well.
When you say you've achieved a number of the things you set out to do, what are those achievements?
One, we set out to bring more unity among the federations and then the leaders of the federations. And I think to a large extent we have done that. Two, we set out to draw a strategic plan. We have done that. We've set out to focus more on athletes. We have done that. To go for competitions, we've done that. Last year we had the African School Games, we had the African Youth Games, we had Anuka Zone 3 Games, and we are at all these games and we won good medals for that matter. So in those areas, we've done well.
What has been the main challenge in the first year for you?
The main challenge really is that some of the things we want to do, we need to, for instance, Amasama. It's been on the drawing board for several years now. I mean, I don't know whether you know, but that property was acquired by Mr. B.T. Baba when he was president of the Olympic Committee. That was 2010, thereabouts. So, and we still not developed it fully as we should. So it's something that we need to work at. The important thing is that I think that sometimes the impression has been given as if we are going to put up an Olympic-sized stadium at Amasama or something, but that's not it. It's an Olymp Africa project. And Olymp Africa is basically a community project where the ANOCA, that's the Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa, representing the IOC, supports a National Olympic Committee to put up a facility in a local community. which will be accessible to the community as a sporting facility and education hub, so that they come there and learn all kinds of things there. So that is the whole idea. So if we have unfortunately not been able to do it, and that's something which I think is important that we do, and that God willing we'll start something on it this year.
Have you done anything in that regard about moving it from just conceptualization stage to putting something there?
Yes, we have. But some of our people had not even gone to the. So today I took the whole board to the place, which realized the size of the land and what we can do there. We put a committee in place to put up. So we have a committee has brought a plan, structure. We've gone to the ASL to cost it, to look at the plan, see how it will work. There's some money. We are trying to see how we can get money because we need some support to be able to do it. Olymp Africa gave us $100,000, and they used part of it to do a few things on the property. And we need to, the agreement, in fact, with Olymp Africa was that we're supposed to provide counterpart funding. So we have to provide that to be able to start the project and finish it.
So the $100,000 from Olymp Africa is the only money that was available at the time you took office for that project?
Specifically for that project, yes. Specifically for that project, yes. Even then, a part of that has already been utilized to put up some structures on the land.
So there is nothing like a $560,000 fund for
Olymp Africa? Project? No, there's nothing like that. Nothing like that. Not at all.
Let's talk about the specifics of it and how much it will cost. Because you said you've spoken to AESL for the costing aspect. So
yeah, they are yet to give us
they have to cost it for you.
Yes.
What are you looking to build? Because you said a lot of things that at a point I lost track of you.
Okay.
What are you looking to build on that land?
One, a multi-purpose hall. Which can
multi-purpose hall.
Hall. And not the hall like you have in Botima, no. A simple one, which can be used by all the combat sports, for instance. You want it can be used by volleyball, basketball, that kind of table tennis, badminton, all those.
So it's a facility for indoor games.
That's one of the things you could, but there's enough space to also have some outdoor games.
Okay.
At the moment, there's a basketball court there. There's a tennis court there as well, as I speak to you.
So as we speak, how many, because I want us to put specifics to, because now you have moved from just having it on paper to actually setting the wheels in motion. Which of the disciplines have you agreed that are going to have facilities there?
Proposals have been made for some disciplines. Okay. The agreement is not yet in place. And some of the disciplines that obviously football, athletics, volleyball, basketball, the combat sports, judo, taekwondo, karate. Basically, these are the main ones that will.
So when you say the football, you are...
There's a football pitch there.
Okay.
There's a football pitch.
With stands?
No stands at all.
Okay.
It's just a pitch. At the moment, the local community, they just play soccer on it and drink.
Okay. All right. And what is the next step for this project? Because I'm sure you have timelines with which you're working, especially with this phase of the whole AESL conversation.
Yes. By the middle of this year, we'll have the AESL concept full, the drawings and everything, and then we will know exactly how much it's going to cost us, and then we will see how we are going to. Already, we are talking to partners to see how we can get money, but they need some more information to be able to determine whether they are prepared to help us. So by the middle of this year, if you talk to me, I should be able to give you more information about this thing.
Last year, I think when you spoke to JBC, you mentioned that Anoka had cleared its arrears to you, when I say you, GOC, for about 3 years. And as of April last year, they had paid $375,000 into your accounts. What projects did that money fund?
That money was meant to support federations, competitions, and athletes. That's basically it. So last year, for instance, we supported federations to the tune of about 180 thereabouts, $1,000, federations for various activities, some competitions, some training, some coaching, whatever, different things. So so in fact, for that, with respect of that specific amount, about 200,000 is already gone for other things. But we still got some money which we are going to use this year as well to support other federations.
So if you look at the year in total, how much did you get from ANOCA?
We get normally from what we get an administrative grant, which is, I think it's 40,000. That's purely for administration. And then we're entitled to we can access $125,000 from ANOCA. That's what we get.
Okay. So what level of support do you also get from IOC?
IOC, the same, basically.
It's the same amounts.
But with the IOC, there are various programs. You must apply either for coaching, for capacity building, generally, there's a capacity building, to support competitions. For instance, there's always this Olympic scholarship every cycle, every Olympic cycle. So we applied and we got 12 of our athletes on the Olympic scholarship. Mainly athletics, we are the relay team. All of them are on scholarship. That's Samino, Azamati, Joe Paul, and Fuseni. They are all on scholarship. Then we have one weightlifting, Winifred. Then we have one judoka, and then one taekwondo lady. The judo lady and the taekwondo lady, we managed to get them into training camps. So what will happen is that they will not be here. They will go. The judo will go to I think France, and then the taekwondo lady will be in Germany. So, but the judo lady is expected to leave sometime next week. They'll be in training camp for the next few years, just training, because in the camp they have support, technical support, medical support, and everything. So the idea is to get them to qualify for the Olympic Games and then do well at the Games.
I was asking about all of these monies because often the complaint has been how the GOC is under-resourced and doesn't have the capacity to execute a lot of its programs. For this year, what have you set out to do?
This year, we have the Commonwealth Games. We have the Youth Olympics. So this year, we need to prepare at least for these two competitions. Now, our plan is to start training early, next month, at least residential training, and thereafter, that's local training, and they also have pre-games training out of the country. So that is our plan. We need to we are trying to get support from, of course, the Ministry of Sports, but we are not able to get all the support. It means that we have to find ways and means of doing that ourselves.
How much do you need for both?
For the preparation of the athletes?
For everything. Youth Olympics, Commonwealth Games.
There are several aspects of it. There's the training camps. We have if I'm not mistaken, the budget which was sent for the Commonwealth Games about 10 million or so.
$10 million?
No, please.
10 million cedis?
Yes, cedis.
Okay.
And then for the Youth Olympics, about 7, I think. So for everything. Okay. Everything complete.
So everything is around 17 million cedis?
Yes.
That's roughly... Okay. Well, so how much of that money are you raising yourself? When I say you, I'm talking about the GOC.
Yes.
Raising itself.
First of all, why aren't you asking us how much money will government give us first?
No, because then we can situate the conversation in the proper context of what government and your other partners can support.
Let me put it this way.
Okay.
These are the national teams going to represent the country at multinational sporting events. Normally, traditionally, the government covers the cost for airfare, for per diem, for training camp, for apparel, and all those things. Government covers the cost. Now, we normally will have a conversation with government, and then we'll know that, look, yes, we'll cover all these, or we can cover a part of it for whatever it is. What we do is that we just support. For instance, government may have only enough money to cover training for maybe 4 weeks. But when we realize that the athletes needs more than 4 weeks, what we do is that we also raise money. That's why we also look for partners who can help us to raise money.
Have you had those conversations with governments already?
We've had preliminary, but we are meeting them again to finalize this.
Shouldn't you have had, especially knowing the attitude of successive governments towards athletes?
I know.
Shouldn't we have had clarity on where we are, what we're getting from governments, how much of it are we to pre-finance, and iron out the kinks?
It's because government, the ministry itself has to ensure that the money is in the budget, approved budget. So they do that, and then we all agree that, look, this is in the approved budget, so this is what it's going to do. But it's also possible that even though it's in the budget, when it comes to execution, we may have difficulties because of the processes leading to the release of the money and that kind of thing. So what we normally do is that we prepare for the inevitable, because we know that the funding, if the funding is not timely, it affects us, because the athletes complain. Because as I said, right now, they are in their winter season. Immediately after winter, they'll start preparing for summer programs. So we need to be ready for the athletes who are ready to train during that period. That's why we are having this conversation at this time.
Well, just for clarity, and if you could look into the camera and
yes,
because Ghanaians are interested in seeing their athletes preparing, showing up at the Diamond League and the big competitions to prepare for the World Championships and the Olympics, and in this case, the Commonwealth Games. How much do you need to prepare athletes for the Commonwealth Games, and especially with respect to the pre-tournament training, the training camp itself?
Just the training camp, or if I'm talking about full preparation for the Commonwealth Games specifically, I need not less than $300,000. If I get $300,000 today, I can prepare the athletes properly, well, for the Commonwealth Games. So they'll have training camps, they'll have competition, and they'll have medical support and all that.
So what is the size of the contingent you are looking to go to the Commonwealth Games with? About
Between 35 and 40, depending upon a few variables. Like some of them may have to do qualifiers, but in terms of, we are sure of about at least 30 of them.
I'm sure you factored the cost of the qualifiers into everything else when you were mentioning the figure.
When I mentioned the figure, the qualifiers were not part of the preparation, training camps, and support. But if you add the qualifiers, you're looking at about $500,000.
Okay.
If you can get me a company that can support me $500,000, I'll be happy to.
You never know.
Oh, no, it's true. But and you see, look, actually, our position is that we want partners. We don't want a sponsor.
Okay.
We want partners. We want somebody who would say that, look, okay, I want to partner you between now and 2028 Olympics. What do you want? What do you want to do? How do you want to get there? And we show him our plan, how we want to get there. Every year, how much do you need? Okay, out of your budget, I can give you 100%, 70%, what it is. So that that partner can see that we started from point A with a plan to get to point Z, and we've gotten there. So that when that athlete is on the podium, getting a medal, or reaches a stage where you are happy with, you can proudly say that you contributed to that success. That's all we want.
Let's narrow the conversation down to the specific athletes. Will the Borakwa represent Ghana again?
That's a difficult question for me because I'm not the president of Ghana Athletics. What I know is that if the Borakwa is competing and training, Ghana Athletics chooses her as one of the athletes, we will support her.
I thought the answer was very unfair to her because you're not an outsider.
No, but you see, I don't control athletics.
Yes.
Athletics have their standards for their criteria for choosing.
But the current standoff and the fracture.
Is there a current? I'm not aware of a current standoff.
You're saying that you're not aware that the Borakwa's issues with the ministry and GAA have not been resolved?
I'm not aware, to be honest with you. I'm not. I am not. I'm honest. What I know and I've read is that the Borakwa, after the last Commonwealth Games, had a problem because she thought that either the GOC president of the ministry or the GOC of the ministry was supposed to cover a medical bill or something. That's all I know.
You're supposed to be aware.
No, I'm not.
Yes, because the contingent you are traveling with has to represent or has to reflect Ghana's best athletes.
Yes.
If at this moment there is an issue preventing the GAA from selecting one of those best athletes, you have to be concerned. And this is a running issue from 3 competitions. Is it over?
Actually, all the athletes who have issues with their federations that I'm aware of, I intervene, I try to find out what is happening. But there are 2 important things you must know. One, the federation is in charge of the athletes. The federation decides.
Yeah.
That's one. I try to influence, I try to ask, and if there's a way I can mediate, I do that. That's one. Number 2, the athletes also can have access to me. They have an athletes commission now that they can get through and get to me that this is the problem, and we'll address it. But honest, look, the Boracua, I thought you were going to ask about that, but the Boracua is the last one. I've never known that.
Are you reluctant to speak to this because you don't want to offend anybody?
No, not at all.
Because I'm surprised you're saying you are not aware
that there's a standoff between and GA.
Yes.
No, I'm not. What I said, I'm aware of.
But you know her injury situation and the fact that promises were made to her about taking care of her treatment and all of that, and it didn't happen. You're not aware of any of that.
That's what I told you. I'm aware that she was in the media saying that there was a promise. I was either by GOC or ministry, I'm not sure, to take care of her injury, and it didn't work out. You can ask Mr. Bawa Fuseni. One of the first questions I asked when we were talking about it was that, is the Boracua still competing? And they told me no, she's no longer competing.
But if she has not been treated, how?
And the reason they gave me for her not competing is not because she has not been treated.
Yes, but I'm saying that it is part of why we have gotten to where.
The reason they gave me for her not competing is that she's one of those who's completed school, and therefore there are quite a number of those people who have stopped competing because they need extra income to be able to compete and also work and that kind of thing. That's all I was told.
Yeah, but as far as our relationship with her is concerned, there is an outstanding issue we have with her.
Has she told you there's an outstanding issue, or you are aware that there's an outstanding issue?
I am aware, and she told the whole of Ghana. We interviewed her.
But that was how many years ago?
No, that was last year.
No, what I remember was Commonwealth Games 2022.
Okay.
That's when I remember.
But this conversation was, I think, early last year about how she had to compete through the pain barrier.
Yes.
Promises were made that do make the sacrifice for us. After this, you will be treated. I'm only asking because you guys are the one in charge. If that has been resolved, I would only find out from her. But you guys are close. If it has been resolved, it will be GOC, GAA, and ministry that would resolve it. So I'm not asking the wrong person here.
No, as part of, you're asking the wrong person. The first person you should be the first person you should be asking is GAA. Because so far as I am concerned, one, as I said, what I heard was that there was a promise from the GOC president.
That was not fulfilled.
And the GOC president denied it in the media, but he said he made that promise. And that's all I am aware of. GAA, so far as I'm concerned, I don't know whether GA was even involved in this.
It was. I think that we had both Ben and then Bawa Fuseni on the line for
and
that.
And Bawa was not also aware of that promise.
That conversation. Nobody wanted to accept
responsibility for it.
Yeah.
National athletes, for me, and that's my, let me make this very clear. Every national athlete that gets injured competing for Ghana must be taken care of.
As climate change accelerates globally, countries like Ghana, who have contributed least to the crisis, are being asked to rethink their dependence on fossil fuel. Right here at the Palms Hotel in Accra, policymakers and climate change leaders are meeting to discuss what a just transition from fossil fuel should look like.
Delivering his keynote address at the high-level dialogue on the global just transition and the fossil fuel treaty initiative, the Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability, Honorable Seydou Issoufou, said Ghana has consistently positioned itself as a voice for climate ambition anchored in equity.
While we have the Paris Agreement to guide emissions reduction, there is so far no global framework designed to manage the orderly, equitable, and well-financed phase-out of fossil fuels themselves. This is the governance gap at the heart of today's discussion. Many African countries today spend more servicing debt than investing in health, education, or climate action. Ghana exemplifies this challenge, simultaneously investing in adaptation and resilience while facing high borrowing costs and fiscal constraints. This underscores why fair finance and debt justice are not optional. They are central to whether a just transition is achievable at all. The Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative, as will be presented in today's materials, is not a negotiated legal instrument. It is a call for countries to come to the table to shape what such a framework could look like.
President of the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative, Kuminedu, urged African countries to reject narratives that frame the continent as weak or dependent. He stressed the need for Africa to assert leadership in shaping global transition frameworks that reflect its development priorities.
We are also carrying the very heavy weight of a crisis that we did not create. The historical emissions, if you look at it, and even today, we contribute less than 4% of the problem. By the way, we must always push back when people in the global north describe us as poor. Africa is the richest continent underneath the ground. That is precisely why we are one of the poorest continents above the ground, which is what the analysts call the resource curse. But Africa is also the home of the highest renewable energy potential in the world, nearly 40% of the global share. Let us be very clear. We are not asking rich nations for charity. We are saying you built your economies on fossil fuel extraction, you built it on colonialism, you built it on imperialism, and what we are asking you to do right now is to pay your climate debt. We are not asking for charity. We must be very, very clear that we are asking you to pay your climate debt. And also, what's the beauty of it is we're not asking them to do something that's not in their own interests. It is absolutely in the interest of every nation in the world, including the global north, to support financially countries like Ghana and all of us in Africa, so that ultimately we will not be all getting in boats and going to Europe to be seeking refugee because they damaged our lives here so much that we have no option.
The conversation also focused on ensuring that Africa's transition away from fossil fuel is properly financed and fair. Sebley Samuel is head of Africa campaigns and advocacy at the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative.
Most of the companies, the fossil fuel companies operating on this continent, are headquartered outside of the continent. So a lot of the wealth is siphoned out. You can think of companies such as Shell, BP, Chevron, Total. Those are over 60% of the companies operating in Africa are headquartered outside. The wealth is siphoned back out. So there's this new scramble for our resources. We don't want to have that replica. And the power of renewable energy is that it's decentralized, it's cooperative, and everyone can have access. So we know we have this potential. We have 60% of the world's best solar resources, 40% of the best renewable energy potential. That is the future we want to harness for our people.
Well, discussions here will go beyond today. Ghana's participation in shaping a global fossil fuel phase-out framework could not only influence its energy future, but also amplify Africa's voice in global climate governance. For Joy News, I'm Noella Kariniali.
Hello there. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're just about to review the news quickly, but I want to run you through the headlines on the newspapers. We'll start with the Daily Graphic this morning. And as you would expect and anticipate, tomorrow is quite a big day for the NPP. And it is taking expression in front of the Daily Graphic as well, as it is reporting or asking the question, who bears NPP flag for 2020? Tomorrow's poll decides. You are interested in that story? It's on page 3 of the Daily Graphic this morning. And then an update from government says that national airline to fly in 12 months. Some good news for all of you who have been calling for that. Story is as well in the Daily Graphic this morning. So, apart from Dr. Bawumia's photo boldly in front of the Daily Graphic, an advertiser number 3 and says that let's win and rebuild for victory 2028. Win with Bawumia. The same paper as well as reporting how Brian Agyapong says that he is poised for victory. Story is on page 13. How poised he is, you find it in page 13 of the Daily Graphic. And as well, the former Education Minister, Dr. Yao also pledges, I will restore trust in the party. This will be on our table today to discuss what's wrong with the NPP party and why does he think that he should restore trust. Daily Graphic as well, government, AFDB signed grants for major big push projects is behind the Daily Graphic. We'll go to the Daily Guide, and it is advertising for the former Vice President, Dr. Bawumia. It says that it is a win it's a Bawumia win. Delegates go for consistency and experience. This as well will find expression in our conversation on the table today. Is this consistency or people want a full change? We shall get into that, but that is taking the central point of the Daily Guide this morning. And then the finder, BOG sets 2026 deadline for microfinance reforms. You also have seen quite a pushback from the leadership, microfinance leadership, saying that the 12 months period is quite unrealistic for how much the Bank of Ghana wants it to raise. And so they are going to be engaging stakeholders and the regulator as well. Story is on page 6. We brought that story to you in our AM bulletin, 6 AM bulletin. The microfinance institution to meet 100 million capital BOG, part of the reforms suggested. iShowSpeed visits Ghana. Visit gives Ghana tourism a digital lift, the Ghana Tourism Authority. And my colleague Noella will be speaking to Abeku Santana, the deputy of that institution, for us to get more on that. How? Because this has brought some conversation that has taken a little swipe on a colleague in the industry who thinks that really he didn't deserve to even have a Ghanaian passport sharply or quite quickly or quite swiftly. But when Wella speaks to the GTA, we'll put meaning to all of that misunderstanding. That is also in front of the New Finder this morning. Mental health advocate advises commuters to plan for stress. Of course, the transportation crisis or challenge in Ghana. You plan for your mental health, don't take out transportation crisis out of that. Now, the daily gist, who leads the NPP 2028? It's Bawumia Day. I don't know if it's the answer to the question on the daily gist, but it is as well advertised on all 5 aspirants or candidates tomorrow, well, it won't be by this time, I'm sure by 5 p.m. or 6 or, yeah, we'll get to know who the NPP would have decided on. Oferiatta trial stalls as OSP seeks more time. If you read the report by the OSP, it's half-yearly reports. It takes expression as well and gives a breakdown on the cases that they have also instituted. You want to read more? It's on page 2 of the Daily Gist. NPP bars national security from presidential primaries. I've got to look into the story for you, but it is in the Daily Gist. NDC gives marching orders to appointees. Of course, this is what we're going to be discussing today. What does this really mean? Is this the reorganization? Is this true reorganization for the party? Why at this critical time, really? Was it triggered by persons who are being appointed and as well want to still go to parliament, or this has been an existential problem they want to solve? We'll look at that. GJA cries out over attacks on journalists. Hopefully the government hears us out. The custodian, NPP kingmakers to crown Bawumia tomorrow. I'm not sure what this means, but Professor Smart is here. Would ask him what it means when they say NPP kingmakers. The delegates, or who? Are there kingmakers among the delegates as well? We'll ask all of these questions. BOG Gold reserves declined to 18.6 tons. Professor Abwedi as well is here. If we have some time, we can ask that question about how gold, the BOG Gold reserve declined to 18.6 tons, what it means for us as a country. That will be all for the newspapers. I'll be kind to bring you my joyonline.com. If Yao, my director, is in a good mood. Okay, right, he's in a good mood. Well, so gold windfall must be shared broadly, not selectively, Ken Ashigbe, and that's our top story. Still more fallout will be tax everyone fairly. Ken Ashigbe pushes Mineral Commission to expand a mining revenue base, and every cedi spent returned 20 times over. OSP shuts down critics. It is in that report that they released as of yesterday, and giving you reason to know that those of you who have been asking or saying that the OSP spends lots of money and yet we're not getting results, he's been answering the question that says that for every cedi that the OSP spends, Office of the Special Prosecutor spends, they make 20 times of that money. Is that good news or not? We'll get into that. All right, so we'll just start the review shortly, and my guests are all seated. I will just catch my breath, then we'll start. Well, joining me this morning is Dixon Cherdua, Member of Parliament for Brekum West, Andrew Appiah-Dankwa, Director of Legal and Constitutional Affairs at the United Party, Professor Smart Sapon, a Senior Research Fellow at Kumasi Technical University, and I saw Professor Isaac Boedi, Dean of Accounting and Finance at UPSC. Doctors, professors, honorables, lawyers, gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. I haven't seen you this year.
Yeah, we have.
Yes. I haven't seen you, honorable, this year.
Sure, I was in my village, with my people.
Okay, your people are enjoying full time with the honorable.
Surely, yeah.
Okay, and then Prof.
Yes.
I don't like that when there's only time for elections. That's when I see.
Yeah. We're going to change that this year.
Okay.
This year I'll be frequent on other issues, not only on.
I totally agree.
You and I should be tired of elections.
I hope so, because you put the numbers to it beautifully. But we'll get you to address other issues. But Prof, I've seen you this year. Have you had a good week so far?
I did.
Okay, how did your program go? I saw the speech that you did.
Yes, I mean, we are here. Good morning to my colleagues. We are here to say thank you for your outfit. You supported us massively during the program. It went very well. And that was the first phase of our press conference.
Okay.
There'll be another one when we have received report from RTI.
Okay.
If we don't, the next is to go to court to compel them to give us what we need to present to Ghanaians.
Okay, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll start with the NDC. It says that it is reorganizing. But if you missed that press conference by the General Secretary, take a look.
The directive for all members who want to contest in a party position to resign from all government appointment, according to General Secretary Fifi Fiavi-Kwete, is expected to affect ministers and deputies, chief executive officers, and managing directors of the various state institutions who are expected to step down by middle of this year.
Any person seeking to contest for a party position who currently holds an office to which he or she was appointed by the president or government must resign from that office at least 6 clear months before filing nomination forms. 2, chairpersons or members of boards or persons in analogous positions are exempt from this restriction. Why? Because they are not full-time employees. So those who are full-time employees are affected. And the following are those who are affected. The affected officers under paragraph 1 include, they are not limited to: A, ministers and deputy ministers; B, chief executive officers, managing directors, their deputies or analogous officers; C, metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives. Those intending to contest at the constituency level shall resign by April 2026. Those intending to contest at the regional level shall resign by May 2026. And those intending to contest at the national level shall resign by June 2026. These provisions are firm, constitutional, and we enforce without exception.
Some persons who will be affected include National Communications Officer Sami Jemfi, who is now CEO of Gold Board, Deputy Communications Officer Malik Basintale, now CEO of the Youth Employment Agency, National Youth Organizer George Opariado, now Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, his Deputy Youth Organizer Osman Ayariga, who is now CEO of the National Youth Authority. Others are National Women's Organizer Dr. Hanabisiu, now Administrator of the Minerals Development Fund, and Deputy National Youth Organizer Ruth Delacedo, who is now serving as Director General of the National Service Scheme. This is the party's reason for the call for their resignation.
I think it's simply an issue of reducing the level of greed. You understand? You're alone, one man no chop. What's your problem? What's your problem? You know? So if you want to work for the party, you leave your position in government and come and contest and win. Then we know you are fully dedicated. But this situation where you are trying to be one leg here, one leg there, even you notice, even constitutional review, it's even bringing a provision that even if you are a member of parliament, it's no more going to be permitted once it's approved for you to be both in parliament and in government at the same time. Why? You alone, why? So it's the same kind of principle.
In accordance with the roadmap, the elections will kick off from the branch level between 2nd May and 30th July 2026. Elections at the constituency level is scheduled from 15th September to 24th October 2026, region from 6th October to 15th November 2026, and the national executive elections from 20th October to 19th December 2026. Registration for new members will, however, open from 10th February to 30th March 2026 at the branch level only. This is how the party plans to ensure transparency and fairness of the process, especially at the grassroots level.
Under no circumstances should the membership number of a deceased member be transferred or swapped for a new registrant. I want to take that again. Under no circumstances should the membership number of a deceased member be transferred or swapped for a new registrant. Any branch found to have violated this directive will face the severest sanctions prescribed under the constitution of the party.
The NDC says it's hopeful to strengthen the party structures even more with this approach to its internal election. James Savaji, Joy News.
So that's a wrap of what the General Secretary has been saying yesterday. You have slept over it. I have as well slept over it. Now it's on our desk to discuss. Let me start with a member of parliament, of course, for the NDC. And let me ask him how he feels about it, first of all. How do you feel about it?
That's very good.
Is it?
Very good about it, yeah. But this is my first time on the show since 2026. And let me use this opportunity to extend the best wishes to our cherished viewers across the world for the new year, and also say a very good morning to the good people of Brekum West. And also to you, MFI. It's been a while, and you're looking smitten this morning.
Thank you.
Again, let me congratulate my brother, Mahdi Jibril, who was appointed the acting director of elections and IT for NDC just yesterday.
Oh.
And he deserves tons of congratulations, affectionately known as Mr. Pink Sheet, experienced hand to work with computer, Tenko. That's going to be very good for the party. MFR, I said I feel very good about this because we've seen clarity with respect to the guidelines, where we are building from the foundation level to the roof level, unlike what our brothers on the other side are doing, where tomorrow they're going to elect presidential candidate when they don't have branch executives elected, constituency, regional, and national. You know what that means in NPP is that the very people who are going to elect the flag bearer, it's possible most of them will not be around to campaign for him. They may lose their position. So legitimacy of the person elected comes into play. We're starting from today. NDC, all registers of the party are going back to the branches. Between today, January 30, to February 10th, registers are going there, and people who want to register for the party will have opportunity from 10 February going. You can register, be part of a branch. Then by 30th June, we'll be done with the branch elections. That will be followed with the constituency, regional, national, and in 2027, we will be talking about parliamentary and presidential elections. That is how you build the structure of a party. Okay. That is why yesterday our General Secretary emphasized on the strong foundation we're going to lay. And the foundation is on the branches, and we're going to get that right. I said I'm happy about the guidelines because if you look at one area that is generating a lot of debates and discussions here and there, has got to do with the clause that says the appointees, ministers, deputy ministers, CEOs, managing directors, and MDAs, MMDAs, DCs, and analogous positions, those who then are exempt from contesting unless they resign 6 months prior to filing of nominations. MFR, whenever any rule, any law, any regulation is made, the lawyers will tell you there are two parts to it. You have the letter of the rule, the regulation, the law that has been made, and you have the spirit of that law. In this case, what is the spirit behind? The spirit behind is that you have a government that is committed to delivering for the people of Ghana. And you have a party that has given birth to the government. So in a situation where you have members of the executive, the government, who are still holding on to their positions at the party level, how are they going to perform effectively? One person, and we want dedicated party officials who will be working 24 hours for the party. At the same time, we want appointees of this government to be committed to the cause of the government and to ensure that we are delivering ahead of the 2028 election. So the spirit of this is that beyond the one man, one chop that has become the mantra, the spirit behind is that you don't want appointees who will be divided. You want appointees who will be focused clearly on the job they've been given. So if you are appointed as CEO, you focus on that job, deliver for the people of this country. If you are appointed or elected as an official of the party, you work solely for the party. So I don't see anything wrong with this. This has got nothing to do with mafia to cut some people out. You know, for the boards and those analogous positions that are exempt from this rule, the understanding is typically boards or board members attend
sort
meetings.
Of full-time.
They attend meetings just 4 times in a year, unless there are emergency meetings. Every quarter, it's once a quarter. So 4 times in a year. Okay. And I don't think that is going to significantly affect performance of people who are party officials and at the same time board members or board chairs. So that is completely different. Board members normally are not paid for the job they are doing. It's allowances. It is not full-time, once maybe every 3 months. And for that matter, it will not significantly affect their performance as party officials. That is why they are exempt. But if you are chief executive, if you are district chief executive,
it affects you as well.
Significantly. It means you are not going to work for Ghana. You will be taking salaries and will be sitting at party offices and be working for the party. And that is
Does the party pay them for being, if you say you're a general secretary, if you're, do they take,
no,
do they get paid salary?
There are some. There are not all. In fact, maybe at the national level, maybe the general secretary. Okay. But the point is, we need you to work as a full-time party official.
Okay.
So that party will benefit from your services. And if you are in government, we want you to work full-time for the people of Ghana who are paying you. You cannot be drawing salaries and will be using party duties as an excuse not to be in office to work for the people of Ghana. So Prof, I think, this should not generate any hula balloon.
We decide
Let me clarify here.
Yes.
That not everybody will be happy about. The guidelines.
What
as usual, human institution, you have people who will be dissatisfied. But one thing about these parties, hardly would you see party officials being up in arms with the executives or party people sitting openly in the media and be challenging the decisions of the party. Because this one, the national executives, pursuant to Article 54 and other relevant provisions in the Constitution, have the power to come up with the guidelines. And let us clarify here, these guidelines is for the upcoming party elections. When we get to the parliamentary and presidential, they will come out with another guidelines. That has been the modus operandi of NDC.
It'll be a good time to bring Prof in. Prof, and I want us to take it from where the General Secretary himself ended, just opposing it to the spirit of the regulation that Honorable has also just presented on the table. He was quite clear when he was asked the question. He says that it is a move targeted at ending and giving equal chances to deserving members. In short, one man, no chop. If I hear this, does it defeat the explanation Honorable is providing? First of all, how do you feel about the guidelines?
So let me attempt to answer the first question.
Okay.
Then I'll be able to move to one man, no chop slogan. For any democracy to thrive, these internal reorganizations initiatives cannot be discounted. And when structures are built from the base at the micro level, the macro level also will be impacted. So I'm happy at this stage we've seen some reorganizations across the various political parties. It started yesterday with the NDC. NDC is coming off years of internal tension for some time. So the roadmap is an attempt to stabilize the party. And the roadmap for this reorganization is essentially internal reset. Internal reset. You know, they've been championing on the word reset for a long time, and I'm sure they want to start with their own political party. I'm saying it on the premise, on the basis that the secretary mentioned the 3 pillars. The roadmap will hang on 3 major pillars. One is membership and register cleanup. So they return the register to the branches. They will do the registration and re-registration. So, and then membership dues will be enforced. When you see a party taking such a path, it tells you one thing, that it is all about ensuring that the register they are going to use, or for a credible internal election to be successful, you cannot use an outdated or disputed register. That's the first pillar which they want to address when you use that membership and register. So that's the direction. The second picture or the pillar is restoring discipline in the party. Factionalism and then indiscipline, they cost political parties. And I'm sure NDC, they've had their turn. And these people, they've had similar turn. So if someone comes up and tells you, well, this is what we are going to do, we ensure that we restore discipline to the party. The other one is a structural path to the elections. You know, it enhances legitimacy. That if someone is appointed or elected tomorrow, we can trust we can trust the validity of such processes. So that is what they want to do. But let's also flip the coin a bit, change the direction. I wasn't enthused about the word "one man, no chop." See, when you organize a program like this, and then you use phrases and words like what was used, the media will feed on such words. Are they telling us that's what is happening in the party? It takes a shine of all the things that were said. That's what I am. One man, no chop. Why do you even use this word at such a place, as a platform? Tell us what you want to do to bring the party up to speed. That's all. Is that what is happening in the party? I don't know. But you see, we don't operate on our, you're alone in the world. No, there are people who are feeding into your words and what you say. So I will encourage that when we get such platforms, we use the words, we should be careful with the choice of our words. For me, it takes a shine out of everything that was said yesterday. But for a roadmap to be successful, you must fairly apply the rules. That's my word of caution. Because if they don't take care, this whole thing can degenerate into other confusion. And for the appointees and the CEOs, I'm sure, after this incident or the statement, there will be rebuttal. They'll react. And that's where the challenge will be. I don't know whether they've had internal consultations for some time. But if it was just put on the platform or that stage, I don't know what they are going to do the next time. But I hope we don't have any backlashes or other issues after this. We should have a peaceful environment to help enhance our democracy. That's
okay. All. I would come to the lawyer. You want to answer a question?
Yeah, if you followed the program closely yesterday, or if you were there, for the 35 minutes, he delivered the roadmap, everything. There was nothing like one man, no chop. That was said on the
so that was the letter of
after the
is that not the explanation you were giving? That's the letter of the speech.
So let's be very fair.
Then a question was asked.
Clearly, that was
then the response brought the spirit of the letter.
Delivery on the main program. There was nothing like. And if you listen carefully, you also said the board members are not full-time members, emphasizing on the need for full-time members of this government to concentrate on their work, and those who are not full-time we also have time to concentrate on the party work.
He perfectly delivered that message.
Yeah.
But I was saying that.
So why do we want to dwell on?
And today, that is what the media will capture. Don't give the media words.
But interestingly, MFA, he used words like the spirit and the letter. The spirit.
The letter is what was read. The spirit was what the question brought to the answer.
Yes, MFA.
When you go to the Supreme Court,
yes, MFA, that's what it means.
The answer they give us is what we carry as a spirit, isn't it? But I would come to you, lawyer, for the possible conflicts of interest and what possible.
But MFA, I want beyond that, is there anything wrong when you have many other competent people who could also serve the party?
I doubt that's what. I don't think that's what problem.
So one man knows serve. One man knows serve would have been.
One man knows serve. And want to still be here.
Maybe by the time we'll finish the discussion, we'll come to a conclusion.
Admitted that this is the way to go, and that is how our friends ought to have.
Okay, let's do a bit of numbers here. Prof.
Yes,
political parties exist for many reasons. One, to win power, retain power, oppose a ruling government. These three majorly, largely. But they sleep and wake up wanting to win power or maintain power. If you look at what has happened in the past and structures where you would see that a person holding a position in a political party is likely to contest even a member of parliament, it kind of creates a roadmap for people to want to accelerate their political ambitions. And I think it's worked for many people. Knowing what political parties exist to achieve, does this contribute negatively or positively to them retaining power, winning power, or I will not bring the other parts, the opposing roles that they play?
Yes, so it comes up to, eventually it comes up to winning power in whatever case you look at it, except for instances where the individuals who get affected negatively or positively relent or relax on their path to helping the entire body win victory. If the rules as read, for example, lands on your disaffection side, you're not too happy with it, it's about you acting over yourself and then going eventually for the interest of the entire political party at the end of the day. So if along the line individuals allow their individual interest to overshadow that of the general good, then the party will eventually suffer. Because when the party is losing power, it starts with one person getting disaffected, the other this, that. So yes, the rules may not satisfy all of you equally, but for the sake of your party and in the interest of winning and maintaining power, I would want to advise that along the line, if anybody is affected by this resetting arrangements and party reorganization, I'm using resetting because my brother likes that. So all this comes to the general good of your party. But I think I would want to add quickly that you cannot decouple the written and read speech from the comments that came with the questions that journalists posed to the General Secretary. And both are important. The notes we take out is that the party position is not as it used to be in the past. In the past, those who stay to sacrifice and serve the party are the most neglected, the most poorest. Some of them use their meager resources to sponsor and participate in activities. At the grassroots, it's quite serious. You have to attend almost every naming ceremony, every funeral, and all those things. And those party people at the base, you sometimes use their own money to sponsor those things. And eventually, when the party comes to power, they don't get to chop. They don't get to chop. I was happy hearing that there's a certain chop and that one man for no chop.
So a chopping exists. But the problem is whether it is one. We want to decouple the constant and the variable. The constant is the chop. Prof. Anyway, Prof, proceed.
Yeah. So, and if you remember, some time past, about 6 months or so ago, the Deputy General Secretary, Mustafa Gbande, was on tape talking something about some funds that
is usually
allocated to the party at the base. So then he was telling them how they should be grateful that under this government the funds come regularly and those things. So it fits in. And I will be personally happy that whilst you call people to dedicate full time for party activity, of party duties, you allocate some resources to take care of them. You are telling a CEO to resign from, no, not like telling, but if he wishes to serve the party. Can you imagine a CEO like the NSS boss or Sami Jenfi, my brother, resigning that position, coming to take charge of party communication full time? And you say, chop no day, chop no day monk. If chop no day monk, then who will resign and come and do this? It should serve as a note to the NPP, the CPP. If you are calling people to come and help you organize the party and maintain the party in good shape, you should find means of making some funds available for them. If it is on record still, the party officers, with the exception of the General Secretary, none of them receives any form of stipends. It is bad. It will affect the quality of the work they do for you at the branch level. So yes, the chop, let's not run away from it. I am even enforcing that if it doesn't exist, General Secretary Fifi Kwete should try and speak to the Chief of Staff and those who can mobilize some funds in support of the party to make something available for the branch level executives, the ward level, the constituency level. They suffer at the base seriously. And if they hear the word chop, by now it's going around, somebody is thinking about, where is the chop going on? Because even as of now, some people have been neglected. You know that. It's possible that some have not actually gotten any benefit from the struggles they made into the victory that came. So, much as people may take that as a bad headline, I think that if it was even a slip, it should be a wake-up call for General Secretary Fifi Kwete to ensure that party executives currently and those who would opt to go for the positions and serve the party at the various levels of the party get some form of stipends to support their daily activities. They eventually spend more than whatever stipend you might be allocating to them. They go for all the funerals for you. Generally, you can't be at all the places at all the time. People are at those places representing and making the party beautiful at the base. Yeah, so if you don't have budget for them and you didn't mean chopping, please make some funds.
Okay, I'd come to the lawyer. When I come back to you, Prof, my question will be, these people have really gained some currency in terms of popularity. And it matters who is contesting for which role.
Yeah.
And so giving them that opportunity to choose one, then it comes to me questioning the government on why they were appointed in the first place. Why do we allow people, why are we offering two options for people to want to choose?
Absolutely.
First of all, why does that even mode exist when I come to both of you? But I come to you, first of all, I would have, maybe what I should have done was to find out whether or not these party executives are paid. Clearly, whether there's some form of monthly salary, because it matters what they are getting already, which Prof has been trying to allude to. It matters what they are getting currently for us to say that that's enough for you. So if you're being appointed, it affects you. If they were not being paid, would we also be concerned that they may be distracted in their performance generally?
Definitely.
Could they have done the job just okay because you're not being paid, so there are no KPIs for you to meet? Is that possible conflict of interest? Will any of these executives say that, nah, I'm going to contest this? I take to notice that this is a political party, which is very different, but can they in any way find some conflict of interest and want to proceed if they want to contest this decision?
So let me wish our lovely viewers a good morning.
Nice one.
I'm privileged to be sitting with my two professors and my honorable Smart I've never met in person, and it's a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah.
So to answer your issue specifically, I think if there's any issue individuals who think they may be affected can have, then it will be whether or not the directive is constitutional or not. Because political parties act by the constitution. And then the issue is that as to who qualifies to contest or not is a question that their constitution ought to have answered. So is it a case that, in spite of what their constitution says, the General Secretary has the power to arbitrarily set rules that can exclude party members from contesting. So specifically for me, that's the issue. It's not necessarily whether or not they are paid.
So this is not decision of the General Secretary, it's a decision of NEC. That was taken far back in December last year.
That's fair enough.
So I'm not giving, I'm stating that if there's any issue, the issue will be whether or not the decision is constitutional or not. Because you have a case where the constitution has, I haven't seen your constitution, but I'm presuming that your constitution, like all good constitutions ought to do, set down the criteria as to who qualifies to contest for a position or not. And whether or not NEC or any other body has the arbitrary power, in spite of the clear terms of the Constitution, to make a decision that potentially can exclude party members from taking positions. So specifically, now when it comes to, for me, the broader question, from that's what interests me, is in how political parties feed into the bigger national agenda and how they can position themselves in the best way to enable us achieve the broader, bigger agenda. Now, what's the broader, bigger agenda? The broader, bigger agenda is, for me, is in why we do politics, or why we ought to do politics. And here, I want to make reference to a definition by Aristotle in what politics is. It says politics is the master science that uses all the other sciences. To what end? To create a strong state and to ensure that the welfare of the people are protected. That's why we do politics. So anybody at all who says they do politics, anybody that does politics, that should be your ultimate goal. So political parties want power, not because that's the final objective. They want power because they want to use that power to create a strong state and to create a system where the individual ambitions of the citizens can be met. Now, you see, we have a constitution that creates powers and sets out powers. In this 1992 constitution, political power, or let me say executive power, is not, because that's the ultimate power. The rest of the powers are supposed to limit the executive in-house so that the ultimate purpose of the constitution will be met. Executive power is not given to political parties. Executive power is given to an individual.
Yeah.
So technically speaking, political parties technically do not come to power. What they do is that they sponsor people to come to power. Now, there's always, so that means that you have two institutions. So it means that the government is separate from the party.
Okay.
So where you have, what's it called, where you sponsor somebody to become and the person forms the government is not the party. Now, what the party ought to do is to ensure that the government they sponsored, believing that the government is going to deliver a governance which aligns to their values, because the party also has values. Now, where the government is delivering governance which does not align to their values, what do they do? And we've had an experience in Ghana. So if you recall, when President Kufuor was in power, the party felt that President Kufuor was doing certain things that did not align to the party. So you had a situation of the party chairman then having the Kayonis to come out and criticize President Kufuor. Now, between 2017, because in that time, the NPP was a very strong political party. Now, you had a situation where between 2017 and 2024, the government NPP sponsored did a lot of things which did not align to the party's values, as clearly stated in their constitution. You understand? But the party did not have the strength. They didn't have the courage to hold the president accountable. Because it's not just the duty of parliament, it's all of our duty as citizens to hold governments accountable. Now, what the NDC is doing, for me, excites me. And I agree with my professors when they say that the chop took a shine out. The other one, we all must agree, it took a shine and then had the potential of taking a focus off the importance of what they were doing. Because the importance of what they are doing is, first of all, make that distinction clear. That there's a party and there's government. And two, to create a situation where the party can be strong enough to ensure that where the government is sponsored is delivering governance which does not align to the party's values, they can hold the government accountable. And already, without even this attempt to strengthen their party, I've seen signs. The clear signs was when the general secretary of the party had the courage to say that, listen, there are people in the party who are pushing a certain third-term agenda which does not align, one, to the party's values, does not align to the government's value. and it has the potential of bringing chaos, which is not our objective. We want to sustain this democracy. But you had the General Secretary who had the strength to nip this. I don't know if he succeeded in nipping this, but at least he came out openly to say that, listen, we don't believe in that. Two, if you recall, the chairman of the NDC did not have problem calling out Sam George. Remember the issues? He called Sam George out. Yeah. That is a responsible party. So you need, it's not just the, what's called, in Ghana, we've created a culture here where it's just the minority in parliament that holds government accountable, and some few CSOs and some few journalists. You want to create a culture in this country, a political culture in this country, where not only do we tolerate diverse views, but we also hold political leadership accountable. And that obligation, that duty, does not only lie on the minority.
But this is the ideal situation. The common situation, of course, we see that nearly almost all those who have been appointed, even all those who have been appointed from parliament, because of course we know that they belong to a political party, almost everybody who's been appointed is either saying one way or the other, advertising or campaigning for a political party. And we know, if you drill it down, they belong to a political party. And it will be the party that's in power.
You see, that's why our politics is not delivering the purpose. That's why the politics in this country is not delivering what it ought to deliver, because we fail to build the institutions that will drive the purpose of. And so, where you see a political party attempting, you understand, to place it in a position where it can better fulfill the purpose for why they even exist. Because I'm telling you that when you take it broadly, political parties are not there only to win political power. So then what happens when they are not in power? Do they stop being useful? You understand? Or in fact, political parties don't even come into power. Like I'm saying, they sponsor people to be in government. You understand? So to build a democracy, we all agree that we need to build a very strong political culture. But to build a strong political culture, then we need to strengthen our political institutions.
To break it down for viewers who are watching, do I envisage a party where the NDC or the NPP will sponsor an individual who is not a member of their party to say contest to be president?
No.
Or it's an overstretch?
So that's why in their constitution they state clearly that before we will sponsor you, you must be a member of a party. But having sponsored you to become president, one, immediately your duty is not just to your party. Your duty is to the entire country.
But still leaves the duty, a little bit of the duty to the party.
No, that's what I'm saying. When we Ghanaians are given our powers, we don't give our powers to the political party. And I'm making reference to our constitution. Because the constitution that creates powers. So under our constitution, we don't give our powers to political parties. We give our powers to an individual. You understand? However, in how we've practiced this, we've not handled it well, and so we've created a situation where it's as if the political power is given to the political party. But really, it's not given to the political party. It's to the individual. So, as and when it pleases that individual, they can use the political party. I'm saying a typical case in point is with how Nanado handled the NPP between 2017 and 2024, and how the party itself, because it was weak, allowed him to do whatever he wanted with the party. To the extent that when he was delivering governance, which was adverse. Listen, when you take the NPP and when you drill down to the UP, you know the NLM, the key reason why he left, the people who left, who from the NLM, you know the NLM, Victor and the rest, they're part of the CVP. The reason why they left and formed the NLM was because they believed in decentralized government. They believed in small government. In fact, that's one of the fundamental ideals of the UP. And when you read NPP's constitution, it says that clearly. It says that one, they believe in decentralization, they believe in small government. It's in their objects. Now you have an NPP sponsoring a government that one gave us about arguably one of the largest governments. You understand? That was adverse
the
to...
largest, not one.
I'm saying that because on top of my head, I can't remember if there been an instance where, because we are talking about figures, and figures, it has to be factual. So I can't make an emphatic statement when I can't remember. That's what I'm saying, arguably one of the largest, because I don't know if there's any government that has had more ministers than him, you understand? And two, it was also he led a government that was very centralized. His governance was very centralized. And so Nanado delivered a governance which, in all intents and purposes, was adverse to the value that underpin why NPP was formed as a political party in the first place. How did NPP as a political party oppose this governance, which was adverse to their values. They said they kept quiet. And we are seeing the consequence of that misgovernance. Now, I'm saying that what Fifi Kwete is doing is something that must be applauded. And they said that he brought the chop thing, and maybe that chop thing can shadow.
If he didn't say the chop thing,
yeah, that can make analysis.
If he didn't say it, to be fair, will we have ended this press conference just knowing that they just want pure separation, but not because we don't want people crossing carpet and having too much resources available.
I
think without him
saying that, there'll be a pushback. That's what I'm saying, because I'll be very naive if I say that people also don't do politics because of their personal interests. I'll be very naive. People also have their personal interests, so there'll be a pushback, and that's what I'm saying. That one of the legitimate pushback that I'm seeing, I haven't had the benefit of studying their constitution, but it will be whether or not what Fifi Kwete is doing is constitutional or not. Because like I'm saying, you have a situation where the constitution will set out who qualifies to contest for, and I don't think in that they'll say that where we are in government. If you
I also don't envisage the constitution.
You understand?
Like
and then let me assist. Let me just land here. And so then the pushback will be, okay, it doesn't matter whether it's NEC or not, because NEC also draws its powers from the constitution. Yeah. And NEC's authorities so is NEC acting
in excess of the constitution
within the framework of or not? That can be a possible pushback. And like I'm saying, I'll be naive if I say that we all don't do politics because we also have interest. You understand? Except that your interest should never exceed, like how Prof said, one, the party's interest, and two, the nation's interest. So certainly there will be some pushback, and that's where I see the pushback. But outside of the pushback, in terms of the spirit, and the spirit is not just the chop. You understand? The spirit is that when this is done and this is done well, you have a very strong party. You understand? The other issues will come, and you are making points. Do they keep? I don't know why parties in Ghana think they can't do business. Is there any law that stops parties from doing business? Because parties must find ways of raising.
Running it like a business.
Yeah, you understand? Then in that case, like I said,
ANC is doing big time.
No, all over the world. Yeah. You understand? Then the parties can be run as proper institutions. People are paid. People don't do pro bono jobs. Because the pro bono jobs then is in the corruption. Because when you talk about the chop.
Yeah, because if I'm not paid, I'd rather secure a job in government.
Yeah. So the chop is talking about.
Go back to fulfill promises I made to people who voted for me.
The chop
as an organizer or anything.
Just a quick one. A quick one to what the ideal situation lawyer is creating.
Yeah.
Where I want to slightly draw his attention to all of us, attention to is that the structure is that when the person is sponsored to become the president, he forms his government using the same people who sponsored him. So like you mentioned, almost 99% of the people that will help him govern are from the same political party. And it becomes those individuals' responsibility to put him, the sponsored, the president, in check first, for and on behalf of the party. So you are in government there, and that is where they go wrong and they break the tie between government and party. And I agree with him. Government, the gap that existed between government and party under the XY government was huge. I mentioned it ahead of the 2020 elections, and even towards the 2024 elections, still that gap was visibly very huge. Very, very, very huge. Because the people who were selected to be part of government forgot that they came from a stock, a political party, and their duty first is to help the governor, the president, govern very well, not disconnected from the ties of the party, their beliefs and all those things. Immediately they forget. That is where party general secretary would find it worrying that you cannot be here and there because, while you are there, you are appearing to forget about our values and all those things. And so I will advise those that get the opportunity to be selected to be part of government, that they don't go there as, and you hear some of them even say, I'm serving the president. Is the president, are you serious? You have forgotten the route, how the president even got there for you to even be, yes. So they create the problem.
It's a tea we drink on this table every day. I like to say good morning to His Excellency the President for the good job. I have to make time actually for them to say all the good mornings before we get into the matters arising. Prof, I'll come to you, Honorable.
It's good you say that you say good morning to a man who is delivering. So that there's nothing wrong with that. But as my brother was elucidating on the legality or otherwise of it, there are qualification criteria clearly set out in the Constitution. And Article 54 also says, notwithstanding the criteria set out, the NEC also has the power to come up with guidelines, depending on the times. You see, you cannot keep changing the Constitution every year or every 6 months, but there may be circumstances that will require certain decisions to be made. And that's clearly. So these guidelines is for the upcoming branch, constituency, regional, and national. For parliamentary and presidential, there will also be another guidelines. That has been
if the Constitution gives this amount of power to NEC. On
elections, that's what I said.
You see, when you read Ghana's constitution, and you see, we should not forget that the party's constitution, their values should align with the nation.
Exactly.
Now, one of the fundamental principles that underpins our constitution is the principle of the rule of law. And one thing that the rule of law abhors is arbitrariness. One of the rule of law abhors is opaqueness in, you understand? And so if, like you are rightly saying, the NEC has that huge power in the name of guidelines to arbitrarily decide, you understand? Then, in my opinion, it flies against the principle of the
Let me take from Brady. Let me have also coming.
We're looking at level playing field 1 and 2. How can one person be performing 2 functions?
So do it do it properly. Do it properly. So hold a Congress. Amend your constitution. It says that where we are in power, like how the NPP did in their constitution. Now, if we are in power, we hold elections at this time. When we are in opposition, so you can also state clearly that when we are in power and you want to be in government, you cannot contest.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Like MPP,
MPP
had the Congress and said, they can now vote on the presidential.
That's another issue. That's another issue.
Honorable wants to go diabolical.
He started very well. Honorable is changing.
But Prof, do you hear what the lawyer is saying? Do you hear what this same constitution that's giving power to those who are providing these guidelines can amount to? Do you hear him?
Well, I don't want to be too technical or try to know the constitutions more than my good friend, the lawyer. And obviously, the NEC will draw their powers from the Constitution. And if that's what they are doing, that is fine. You started very well. And I have enjoyed listening to Fifi yesterday. Very brutal, frank. The party is trying to choose noise over order. Order over noise. Structures over slogans. That's what they're trying to do.
In practicality, order over noise, in practicality, for the purpose of this conversation, we've said that noise has worked for almost all the political parties very well. It's delivered very sharp results. This order.
He ended creating the noise.
This order, what's the true impact? Because it matters who is contesting. It also fits in the broader picture of elections, and we can't go past this. Okay.
MFA, do you know what scared me? When your production started showing some persons who are eventually going to be affected.
Yes. I can remind you, there's a Balik Basin Tali.
So I asked myself, that is it just about
assuming,
yes, check the squad.
Yes, there's Ruth De La Sedo, that's the NIA. There's Jojo Pariado, who galvanizes the youth. He holds a role that's...
Ayariga is there, and I mean, I don't know. So if it is just a matter of don't be here, don't be there, and for example, all this squad decides to keep their job, because I don't see the level of chop at the right equivalent to somewhere down there. I'm still interested in the chop MFA.
Being a political party executive,
right? So if assuming they all decide to maintain the chop, like be with government, and you are saying it gives opportunity for people to, then there will be some need for, I think they have time, they have to go through some nurturing to fit for 2028, which is also quite very close. Else they will be there ceremonially, and Sami Gyamfi cannot sleep, seeing the communication go away that...
Hopefully he can't sleep. Maybe he's sleeping fine.
Did they give a time frame for this?
Yeah, the time frame.
6 months prior.
6 months?
So, but if you are not contesting, you are holding on to your position
till the handing over.
19th
December.
My prayer is that Sami should stay at post for us to finish our issue. Before you
the good
boss. You know.
But knowing what we know now, the role of a political party to sponsor people to come to government, knowing what they know, what's the real conflict? Because they are not, ideally, they are not the ones running a country. So,
but truly, most of the people who are appointed, I know most of them probably would not want to come back to contest for party position. Work for the party, you get official position when the party is in power. Because people have choice. For instance, the national chairman, Honorable Johnson, I see you don't get here, 17 years as general secretary. Government came to power 8 years. He never held any executive position. He stayed there, national chairman for almost 4 years. He hasn't held any executive position. Honorable Fifi Kwete, general secretary, if he wanted, he would have gotten a cabinet position.
Of course.
So most people who want to stay at the party decide not to take appointment.
And because there's some equivalence.
Most who do take,
there's some leverage.
Hardly would you see them coming back to contest. So I don't think.
So why did you need this guideline?
No, in a situation where you probably will have.
Now you want to compel people.
You want to.
So there's the ideal culture, but we want to compel.
The point is beyond the job, beyond everything. How can one person be working effectively? That's the way.
But that's my question.
To be doing it all.
Prof, if you can hear me. But my question is that for a political party, for me, it sounds to me like, oh, because I am a journalist, why do I have time to go to church? The roles are different.
No, they are.
That's the understanding.
Let me tell you this thing. Now that NPP is going to elect their flag bearer tomorrow, we started our internal elections. We are now switching to campaign mode for 2028. And if we are holding executive position and the party is on the war front campaigning, your boots should be on the ground. It means you have to leave your offices and be on the campaign field at the expense of the government business will suffer. So basically, this is the fundamental reason why it is very important for, and you see, those who will opt to stay with the party, work hard,
will be adequately resourced.
Will also be resourced and will be rewarded if you also want the executive position in the future. So for me, for efficiency's sake, and for us to work for Mother Ghana, I mean, this is a very bold decision that the party is taking, as we've all agreed. It's a very, very bold one to tell you to tell your own that you cannot be here and be here. It's not an easy decision, but it is in the interest of this nation to do that.
Okay. Prof. Swart, what will it cost the NDC? Though it looks good, there's order. Every time there's order, in the interim, there's a cost.
So I usually advise persons in positions, current positions, that they should have some succession plan even before they decide to resign or whatever. Because now, for example, if Malik decides to stay with the National Youth Employment, has he groomed people enough? Are there people he can easily say, with this person as my successor, I can rest in and will not be bothered about the efficiency of the work and all those things. For sectors of the executive structure, which did not have or does not currently have reliable succession plan, there the party will suffer a bit. And if care is not taken, the previous holders will be seen doubling, trying to come in. For me, there's nothing wrong with it. if Sami Gyamfi decides to jump into communications, when they're going get stuff and all those things. But it all depends on how well they've planned the succession, and as to whether today they can comfortably say, if I choose to serve government, which is also equally very important too. Somebody will be there to watch my back for me and do the work as efficient as I would have done it. I think once that is done, the party shouldn't suffer a bit. But they have time. The good news is if you do it in 2026, even if the person will have some initial glitches, by 2017, the person should be up for the job.
In terms of cost, for me, if you look at the number of months or years to be in power for the last election that was conducted, it's just, I think, 1 year. I'm wondering how these individuals have groomed people to take over when they finally exit and decide to join the campaign trail. Maybe they've had some plans like that. But for me, where the challenge will be is when this roadmap, the roadmap is not fairly applied. That's where I see.
He was quick to add that it will be applied fairly.
That is why
there will be no exceptions.
From membership to when they have a full-blown register and people are going to be elected. That's where we often have a problem. For this one, we often hear good news. I mean, you give the roadmap. If you go to sleep, the implementation, that's where the problem is. And I started by saying that they don't want to choose noise.
Order over noise.
Order over noise. But yet, they ended up creating the same noise. That's my worry. The man wanted to say no individual is bigger than the party. Then brought in that word, and it changes the whole thing. So I'm sure we should look at the
But you're doing listening to MFA. See, whether you like it or not, in our country, the noise has inured to their benefit.
Giving results.
Because at the end, you see, we can say all the ideal things. But whether you like it or not, you want a certain result. And effective PR, ability to drive public opinion, has solved. Probably that was the essence of the noisy part. Because what was wrong, it caused it to be a topic of discussion. It's being discussed everywhere. But within that discussion, the positive side of what they want, they intend, is also coming out. So I think, listen, Fifi Kote was their propaganda secretary. At that time, wasn't, and so at that time, it wasn't his official position was propaganda secretary. You understand? So he understands, and we all saw the effectiveness of his propaganda in 2008. So he understands it. But then, and at the end of the day, for me, like you rightly said, you see, where you create the right structure, where you create the right systems, let's say you have your SOPs, you have your what's called terms of reference clear, and it's part of the culture of the party. It really shouldn't matter who takes whatever position. And then it's a party that is more than 32 years old, have had the chance of changing several. So I don't think the human beings, once they have their structures in place.
In wrapping up this conversation, and then we'll go for a quick break after that, I want to ask you this final question, Honorable, especially because you're a politician, you belong to the NDC. If political parties were run like businesses, like the two professors are saying, do you think that it would allow people to want to stay there and vie for executive positions when they don't go lobbying for appointments and all of that? If they were run, say for example, at the end of the month, you know that for this position, this is what you get and all of that. Do you think it will curb this crossing over? We won't be having this conversation.
Yeah, to some extent.
Is that
to some extent?
Really, how much extent?
But it also depends on individual ambitions and aspirations. Somebody sets out to become a member of parliament. You work at the branch, you work at the constituency, and you want to become a member of parliament. It doesn't matter whatever resources available to you as a constituency executive member. Once your ambitions, your aspirations to become member of parliament, you will be looking at that end.
That's quite
somebody also wants to work.
For people who get
somebody also wants to work for the party.
Isn't it to appease them? Isn't it a thank you?
Of course, it's part of it, but it's also the fact that the president alone cannot do and has to appoint people, and people who have demonstrated
There are technocrats.
competence.
There are lecturers, there are professors.
People who have demonstrated.
Maybe a secretary or
you see, as lawyer alluded to, power is handed to executive power handed to an individual, and that individual comes from a political party that has its values, that has its political philosophy. So in appointing people to run that government, you also look at their orientation, whether they believe in that philosophy. For instance, NDC believes strongly in what we call egalitarian treatment of people. What that means is equal treatment of all manner of persons, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their religious background, irrespective of their social standing, irrespective of ethnicity, and all these things. So when you are appointing people to be part of NDC government, you look at all these things, whether individuals being appointed believe in these things. That is why mostly people are appointed from the party. It is not a reward per se, but because they believe in the philosophy of that political party and how power is going to be used for the welfare of the people. That is it.
Okay.
So no matter whatever resources,
people
will still have aspirations and ambitions and would want to go forward.
Okay. So that's for the NDC. Tomorrow is quite a big day for the NPP. So stay with me. We'll just take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll look at all 5 candidates. What are they looking for? Continuity or an entirely new disruption? What do you think they need to enter into 2028 and if they want to wrestle power? Stay with me. so much for staying with us. Tomorrow is a big day for the NPP. Now, prior to that, there's been so many opinion polls setting up one person or the other and making some two persons the front runners. In fact, the very popular poll, InfoAnalytics or Global InfoAnalytics, suggests that Bawumia just might win with a 57%, followed closely by Kennedy Agyapong on 28%. But believe these numbers or not? I believe Kofi's numbers. Kofi Ajay is here. Kofi, what's the data looking like? Where will we start from?
Well, MFO, unfortunately, we have not done any poll.
We'll aggregate it, are we not?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So in the US, that's what they call the poll of polls. It actually gives us, a 360 view of what all the polls are actually, talking about. And so, in fact, that's what we've done here on Joy News. And what we've done is that we've looked at 8 polls. We are adding one more poll from APL, their second poll, to make it 9. And I'll tell you how the numbers are looking like when we go through the 8 polls that we did initially. So, in fact, if you look at all the 8 polls we sampled for this analysis, you look at the total sample size, that's about 140,000 delegates that, according to all the 8 polls we've actually spoken to. Look at the actual delegate numbers, that's about over 211,000. And you see that there's about more than half of that. And so we feel that the aggregator or the poll of polls will possibly give us an indication of where maybe tomorrow will go, the direction that it will go. In terms of the 8 polls, how is the outlook looking like in terms of where we got the 8 polls from? Global InfoAnalytics, we picked 3 of their recent polls, excluding what they currently have. That is not a poll, that is a predictive analysis that they've done. What they've done is to poll for, I think, about 5 months, and they've come out with their last poll. Their last poll put Bawumia somewhere around 45.8%, almost about 46%. And what we did was that we picked 3 of their recent polls, picked 3 polls from Sanity Africa, 1 poll from Africa Policy Lens, and also 1 poll from Dr. Evans Dia, who's actually predicting a win for Kennedy Agyapong. So 8 polls. What are they saying in terms of the aggregator? So when we put everything together to actually give you a 360 view of what all these 8 polls are actually saying, what you see is that the average, and this is not a prediction, we need to put across that we are not predicting, for anybody. What we are telling you is, the story of what the numbers are actually saying based on the 8 polls we have sampled. So out of the 8 polls, Dr. Bawumia is leading with about 55.86%. Kennedy Agyapong is coming second with 37.9%. Brian Agyapong, 5.64%. And Dr. Osei Dutum is about 2%. Kwabena Agyapong, 1%. And then, interestingly, if you look at the average of all the 8 polls, you still have about 8% of delegates who, throughout all these 8 polls, decided that they are either not disclosing where they stand or they are unsure of who they will vote for.
Okay.
When you do the math, that's about 16,000 delegates. That's a big, big number. And tomorrow, whoever will be able to convince that, these people will actually, take a good lead. And so you still have about 8% of the delegates, according to the polls, who still remain undecided. But
Prof. please keep this number in mind, 8%, and what it means to all of these candidates.
We will talk about that. But we also, I'll talk to you about what we are calling the combined third force in this race. And you see why that is also very, very important. Although you are not seeing big numbers for Brian Agyapong, I will tell you a story of why his involvement in the race is crucial. And then also Dr. Osei Dutum and Kwabena Agyapong. Now, let's do some comparative analysis. If we go to the next slide, that will show you, if you look at all the 8 polls, the 2 leading candidates. In fact, let me tell you this story even before we go there. 8 polls, what are they all saying? 4 for Bawumia, 4 for, Kennedy Agyapong. So 4 of the polls we sampled, including 3 of all Global InfoAnalytics polls, plus that of Africa Policy Lens, is predicting a win for Dr. Bawumia. If you look at Kennedy Agyapong, 3 polls from Sanity Africa, including that individual poll from Dr. Evans Dia, is also predicting a win for Kennedy Agyapong. That makes it 4-4. That's a split over there. But let's try and interrogate the numbers a bit further. If you look at the averages versus what all the other polls are saying, we are trying to do to see if you can identify any form of outliers in terms of these averages that we've calculated so far. The averager, in terms of combining all the 8 polls, is putting Bawumia around 45.86%. But if you compare the averager to Global InfoAnalytics, their last poll, which put Bawumia at 48%, do the math, and then before you can see that it's very, very close. About, 46% versus 48%, that's about 2 percentage points difference. Margin of error rise, very, very significant. In terms of Sanity Africa, what you see is that what they are predicting for Dr. Bawumia is way below where the averager expects him to be.
Interesting.
45 or 46% versus 40%. Clearly, about 6 percentage point difference, right? Africa Policy Lens is expecting, Dr. Bawumia to be somewhere around 63.8%. Their latest poll, I understand, is putting him around 61%. But in terms of where that poll is versus the average, a huge difference. There's about 20 percentage point gap between where Africa Policy Lens is expecting Bawumia to be, or their poll is expecting him to be, versus what the averager is putting Dr. Bawumia. Now, let's look at Dr. Evans' GS, poll. 36% for Dr. Bawumia, very, very below where the averager is putting him, or the poll of polls is putting him. So clearly, you see the picture for Bawumia, where the polls expect him to be, and where the aggregated polls, which puts everybody together, is also expecting him to be 45% versus all that we see here. Let's look at Kennedy Agyapong's, averager versus what the polls are actually saying. 37.9%, roughly about 38%, all polls saying we expect him to be here, or this is what the delegates are saying based on what we have actually sampled. Global InfoAnalytics, their polls are still predicting some 25% in terms of their last or latest poll for, Kennedy Agyapong, 25%. You can see that there's still a significant difference between their last poll versus where the averager is actually putting him. Now, I told you a story, the outlier story of Africa Policy Lens when it comes to Dr. Bawumia. We see a similar story playing out when you look at that of, Kennedy Agyapong. The outlier you see here is the average being quoted by Sanity Africa. They expect him to be around 52%. And if you're able to get 52%, it simply means that you're winning the election. Compare that to the poll of polls, 38% versus 52%, similar 20 percentage point gap, just like we saw for the Africa Policy Lens. And Africa Policy Lens, in terms of their poll, is expecting Kennedy Agyapong to be somewhere around 28.9%. That's way below where the averager is putting him. And Dr. Evans Dua, who predicted a 45% win for Kennedy Agyapong, you see that is also significantly different, about 9 percentage point between that and where the averager is also putting him. Now, let's do this. Talk about the 8% who still remain undecided, according to the averages we are getting from the polls. 8% for us is very, very significant. And if they're able to speak, we will possibly know where the election will be. I'll tell you a story of also the confidence intervals we've actually calculated with about 95%, surety. I'll tell you that story very, very soon. But the reason why the combined third force I spoke to you about is important is that if you look at the last election, where Dr. Bawumia, in fact, this is the first time anybody attempting an NPP presidential candidate actually got 61%. Attempting it for the first time, you are likely not to get even about 50%. But he was able to poll 61% for his first attempt. That's actually the record currently. But the question is, can he maintain this momentum? Is he going to drop? Is he going to increase? We simply do not know. All we can tell you is what the data is saying. Kennedy Agyapong, 37% from the previous election. And now this is why the combined third force is important, Temefa. Combined third force, last 2 years, or the previous election, if you add what a free Yakuto and a Dainimo actually got, that is not even up to 2%, right? But this time around, you have polls telling you that there's actually a third force who is likely to get about 6% of the votes. There's also Yaosei Duchum. There's also Kwabena Agyapong. If you combine the three of them, that's what we are calling the combined third force. Their percentage is hovering around more than 10%, right? And And that for us is very, very significant. If they're able to get that number, the key question we're asking is, whose cake are they going to eat? Are they
fighting?
Exactly. Is it from Dr. Bawumia? Is it going to be Kennedy Agyapong? But we heard from Global InfoAnalytics and who are saying that, well, if you possibly look at it in the stochastic process in terms of movement between two states, they believe that Dr. Bawumia's numbers are staying a bit stationary, but they see people moving between Kennedy Agyapong and Brian Agyapong. We cannot say the same. All we can do is to tell you what the data is saying. But in terms of giving you sort of like a gist about what we've done in terms of the confidence interval from all the 9 polls currently, the 9 polls we've done currently is putting Bawumia, pushing him from 45.8% now to about 47%. We're still about 6% of delegates remaining undecided. Kennedy Agyapong has actually dropped marginally from 37.9% that we saw to about 37.02%. So it's still a very, very keenly contested, looks like, what the data is telling. But in terms of the confidence interval simply means that the worst case scenario, what is the data expecting Bawumia to, where is it expecting to be? Best case scenario, where is it expecting to be? A 95% interval. It means that the data is telling that based on what you have fed me, I'm sure 95% that what I'm giving you is right. Margin of error is about, or I'm giving you about 5% error.
Okay.
Let's look at Bawumia. In terms of what we fed the statistical model, that data is telling us that worst case scenario, the data is expecting Bawumia to be around 37% in terms of going into this race. Best case scenario is expecting to be around 55%. And the confidence is about 95%, right? Best case scenario for Kennedy Agyapong is about 47%. Worst case, 47%. Best case. Worst case around 30, I think it's 28%. Worst case scenario for, Kennedy Agyapong. Brian Agyapong, best case scenario for him is hovering around 6%, 6.5%. Worst case scenario is about 2.8%. So that is what the data is currently telling us. But tomorrow, we know that in over 277 polling stations, we expect over 200,000 delegates to go and vote. For that, we cannot tell where they will be. But what we can tell you in terms of the story is what the data is telling us, MFA.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of numbers. Kofi speaks so much numbers. Oh, my God. But thank you so much. Let's back to the table. So we also have Dr. Sasan joining us via Zoom. But I definitely want to start with you, Professor Smart.
Yeah.
I definitely want to start with you.
Good. So I don't know whether you want to pose a question or I should just start.
Please start.
Nice one. Nice one. Fantastic work done by our colleague. Very fantastic work. I want to start it this way. Let me start with the movement, the possible movement of the undecided or so. And some polls say that Dr. Bawumia's situation is quite stationary, not as volatile as the others. So we have facial volatility, and then we have the numerical volatility. Under the normal facial volatility, you can see that the team that kept or stayed with Dr. Bawumia in 2023, largely the core team are still intact. All right? But Brian has been able to pull, I think, Mr. Kwame Usu, also the man who was at the GPHA. Yeah. Yes, he was one of the close guys with Ken. And then Dr. Osei Odichum has also been able to pull Mr. Opombio, who was also one of the core. So this left strength, right strength has been pulled. If we can assume they would go with some numbers, then we have facially, before we go into the numbers, we can see that there is some volatility.
So you said that they pulled from Kennedy or they pulled from Dr. Bawumia?
Yes, those two pulled from Kennedy. Yeah. Dr. Bawumia went into 2023 with the likes of Pari Ansan, Nana Kumia, I think a leader, Chairman Sabonsu, and you see that team still intact. Yes. All right. So in terms of the normal, even before we go into the numbers, you can see that there is that confirmation of facial volatility. My study tried to measure three things, and the one on the screen now is the most suitable candidate.
Can you see from there?
Yes, I can see. So I use 3 different indicators to measure the feeling of the people, and one is with suitability. And there are a lot of matrices that goes into suitability. This is just for presentation's sake. The assumption is that for the NPP and the NDC, once you win, you are likely to become a president, unlike, respectfully, the other smaller parties who are not at that level yet. So they must bear, the leaders, possible flag bearers must bear some qualities and characteristics that makes you suitable for the...
To be president, not to be a flag bearer.
Absolutely, because there is that chance.
Most suitable person to be president.
And this is how the numbers turned out. I'm referring to the middle one, the NPP delegates, 16,800 of them. 31.9% Ken, 7.5% Dr. Brian, 57.2% Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 1.4% Dr. Oseyo Educhum, 0.7% Kwabena Agyapong, and at that level, 1.3% were undecided. Now, the next measure I used was, I think, most popular. Okay. And when I'm looking at most popular, I'm looking at the fact that it's kind of marketing. So who has an edge in terms of marketability? Who is largely a household? And let me say that all of them got some scores for all these indicators I'm using. So it's not to say that they are not suitable, but in terms of suitability, you see that 57.2% of the delegates are saying
Dr. Bawumia.
Dr. Bawumia is the most suitable.
Closely followed by Kennedy.
Yes, 31.9%.
The right after that is Brian.
7.5%, and then 1.4 and 0.7 respectively for doctor and engineer. Now we go to the most popular, and you see that for the most popular, Dr.
Can we have the next slide?
Yes, can we have the next slide? It's most popular. I can refer to it from here.
Okay.
While he works on that. All right, so for the most popular, we have Honorable Kennedy, 31.5, Dr. Brian, 6.2, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 59.0. Then we have Dr. Oseyo Educhum, 1.3, Kwabena Agyapong Engineer, 1.3, and at that level, 0.7 of the delegates were.
Prof, please go over again. Ken,
31.5.
Okay.
Brian, 6.2.
Okay.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 59.0, 59.0. Dr. Oseyo Educhum, 1.3. Then we have Kwabena Agyapong, 1.3. And then the undecided at that level was 0.7. And I've explained the popularity.
Yes.
The third indicator was...
In fact, reiterate the popularity again.
What I'm saying is that, you know, it
because a lot of people confuse. People think that if you're popular, it means you're most marketable.
Not at all.
You could be popular, but not marketable.
Marketable.
Okay, so which one? Let me understand it.
Yeah, so I explained it on the marketing leg of popularity.
Okay.
That you should be marketable.
Okay.
Or your ease of marketability should be high. All right? So it's not like just being popular, but... You know, it's marketing. This is political marketing. Everybody will come and sell his candidate, and the citizens will choose among the candidates who they would buy with their money, or this time with their thumb. So that is the popularity we just finished with. When it comes to unifier, most unifier, an interesting trend emerges.
Okay.
There is a gain for Dr. Brian Agyapong, if you can see. So the losses that went to Honorable Ken and the loss that went to Dr. Bawumia was gained largely by Dr. Brian Agyapong, if you can see from there. Yeah. So for the unifier, Honorable Ken, 24.0, Dr. Brian, 16.8, and he was doing, before this, he was doing an average of 6.7. Now it moves by 10 percentage points up. Then for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 40.2, Dr. Oseyo Educhum moves up from the average of 1.3 to 1.9, and the engineer Kwabena Agyapong 1.0, and then at that level you see the undecided increasing to 16.
Is it a fair number represented? The undecided, the 16, the unifier. They are not too sure.
They are not too sure. They feel like, and you see how the distribution went.
Yeah.
So if there's any conclusion to be drawn from here, you can see that the Brian under the level of unifier measurement comes up. He comes to steal the show in there. And so he gains from both the left and the right. So my scientific assumption was that if delegates are going to choose a flag bearer, And on all these three measurement indicators, the lead points to candidate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Then Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the one likely to win tomorrow's election.
Okay.
And it is a very fair, science is quite simple. Science, in fact, it is difficult at the algorithm stage, but if you are communicating, disseminating science, you must make it as simple as possible. So it is a simple assumption that if one is going to buy and he says A is the most popular, the same A is the most unified, the same A is the most suitable for the position, then the decision is likely to go and fall on. So that is the basis for my conclusion that I don't see an instance of a runoff, because these intervals are not that which likely can cause a runoff. For example, if you should add all the 16 undecided under the unifier to Honorable Ken, it takes him to somewhere, 40% or so. And then you are not saying that, it's all going to go to him. So if it all goes to the one gaining, which is Dr. Brian, he moves to 30. I think 30, 34, 32 or so. It still doesn't cause substantial change in the one that leads. So I am predicting between 57.2. That is, I'm relying on the popular and the suitability.
Okay.
Because as for the unifier, you can see it is fairly distributed among the three, with Brian gaining more.
If the vice president, if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia wasn't vice president before, do you think the numbers would have changed?
Well, there have been vice presidents who did not get the favor he got in 2023 and the kind of support he's getting now. Okay. The most recent one that comes to mind is Dr. Honorable Ali Muhammad, who was a vice president, attempted contesting, and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won in that contest, 2007, 17 aspirants. General will tell you 17, you will say that. so that is it. So tie in with all the fine presentation that has been done. What I am thinking is that the delegates as at this time should have decided, all right? So if there are going to be slight
I think the night
changes,
before is a very interesting time for delegates.
Yeah. Even yesterday, I came across a situation I was telling.
Okay.
I came across a situation and I asked, and he said, you won't
tell the situation now.
Okay.
I'll tell it now. Okay. Prof, I'll come to you, but if you permit me.
Can I ask Prof?
Okay.
Prof, if you look at Mr. Kwabnaji Agyapong.
Right.
Unity has been the
central, absolutely.
But if you look at the perceived most unifier, it's not faring well.
Yes,
why do you think?
It is a scale, fortunately for him, it is a scale on which he got the highest percentage. So, for example, so the previous one was most suitable. Most suitable, he got 0.7.
Okay.
Now he's doing 1%.
He scored some good points on his own mantra over here.
The 1%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's an improvement.
We'll come back to this. Okay, Okay, let me as well, before I come to you, Prof, InfoAnalytics, we have Eugene Boachi. Eugene, thank you for staying with us. You're joining us via Zoom, I suppose. So you're predicting 57 for Bawumia and 28 for Kennedy. These are the two front runners, and closely followed by what we are describing as a combined third force, the 13% for Brian Agyapong. As of now, this prediction still stays, or some of the other polls that you have seen will alter it slightly? Eugene?
Yeah, so we still stand by what we presented to Ghanaians, and from what we've done over the months, even concentrating on our final poll, which we started from 29 December 2025 and then brought it to an end on 23rd January 2026. We still see Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia winning by 57% with a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. So we still stand by what we...
Today, Friday, the night before, the eve to the election, will any action or inaction as well contribute to the results at all? I mean, bearing in mind the behavioral patterns of delegates.
Yes, we believe Yes, I mean, we believe that if the candidates do use the data that we've presented, there could be some alterations as to even their winning percentages. Yeah, so we believe, I mean, in the dying days, certain things could work for or against certain candidates. So,
okay. Yeah. In all of your researches, your polls, what's it telling you? What are they looking for? Continuity, basically, because Dr. Bawumia was the one they picked in 2023. There have been other introduction of other candidates. What exactly is the party looking for?
Yes, so that is also one thing. There's actually one thing that we tested. So in our questionnaire, we asked them as to whether or not bringing a candidate for the second time puts them in a better position to win the 2028 elections. And then they did say about 45% of the delegates went in favor of that. So it tells you that bringing a candidate for a second time is something that the delegates are looking for. And then also, in terms of somebody who could bring unity into the party, somebody who is trustworthy, they all tip Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, or let me say majority of them tip Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as someone who has those qualities. And I mean, to them, they think that is, those are very important things for somebody that they should consider a candidate of the party.
Does this, your prediction, mirror the national perspective going to 2028? Will it mirror it in any way? Does it affect it in any way?
We've not actually looked into the national perspective of things. We like, so we like to stick to the delegates aspect of things.
But the delegates, isn't it, Eric? The delegates are still citizens. They vote. They vote at the end of the day anyway. Their choice. Do you think that these numbers will be highly reflected later, especially for those who wouldn't have Kennedy Agyapong's followers? The other combined forces, while we agree that the party will now galvanize and choose one person and then they will campaign for that individual, will it impact the general election in any way for those who didn't vote for Dr. Bawumia?
I mean, I think so for the party, one thing that we actually saw is somebody who could help them win the elections in 2028. And for the delegates, the most important thing for them is winning the 2028 elections. Right? Okay. Things come up, there are certain issues within the party after the elections. We believe that they will still come together to join forces in working towards victory in 2028. So, okay. And you see, like I mentioned earlier, for somebody they believe can unite the party after the elections, they see Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to be a unifier, somebody who can bring unity into the party. So we believe that with the intentions or with the mindset that the delegates are going into this election, this particular election, with those other fracasses that could come up after the elections would sort of be shunned, and then they would concentrate on bringing their forces together towards victory in 2020.
Okay.
Because that is the most important thing to them.
Okay, Eugene, you can stay with me, but back in studio, Prof. Yes. Do you have any predictions as well? I'll go to Professor Bwedi.
Do I have?
You predicting? Who are you predicting will win tomorrow?
Well, it's a difficult question.
Is it?
Well, I don't vote. I don't have. But just before I answer your question, this is internal elections. And you presented some results here. Years ago, we have grown up to know elections are purely scientific or data-driven. But in recent time, we have seen that of the prophets. I don't know why I didn't project the votes for the prophets.
Quite unmeasurable.
No, but they've been on the media. Some people have predicted their own candidate. But the point is that tomorrow is not just to elect a flag bearer, but it's a future direction, credibility, and then electability. The electorate will vote based on the three key areas: credibility, electability, and the fact that who they can market to get power. I'll be shocked tomorrow to see, after the elections, jubilation from other camps. Because that's not the call, that's not be the focus. They just will elect a flag bearer. So they shouldn't create further divisions after tomorrow. What I want to see tomorrow is a turnout level, is a regional voting pattern, and then the margin of victory. For me, I'll be focused on these three areas after tomorrow. Okay. I'm not looking at what is happening today. But tomorrow, three key things are the things I'm going to watch. But your presenter projected 8%
of undecided.
Of undecided.
The aggregator score. Not for, yes, for all of the polls that we've put together.
Yes.
Aggregating it, 8%.
It means the elections, the internal election is not locked in yet. If you have a class of 100 students and they are to vote on 2 people, candidate A has 45, candidate B has 47, making 92. So 8.
Yeah.
So 8 out of every 100 who vote are not decided. I'm thinking about it. So the one who is able to convince the 8 people wins. And for me, the focus of all the camps should be on the number of those who have not. I don't know what my colleague projected, but I'm sure APL and the rest have
57%.
57. So I'm talking about the undecided votes.
The undecided. Prof, the undecided, did they find
Mine
expression?
was very least, 1.3.
1.3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So meaning they have less work to do. But a higher number tells you have to do more to be able to convince those people to come and vote for you. So we wish the NPP well, and I know they will come good after this.
Let's do some personality analysis here, Lawyer. So knowing, according to the polls, knowing what the delegates are looking for, it also matters where a person wins, a candidate wins, regional basis, because of course we know that for general elections, it tells if you're winning in a certain region, it matters a lot. If you're not winning in a certain region, too, it matters a lot. You want to start with candidate A, maybe Dr. Bawumia, and go to Kennedy. All of these, do you have any predictions anyway? And the data has changed your mind.
So we're all prophets in this, as in this business, in my opinion.
We're all prophets.
Everybody's a prophet because it's data. As I appreciate, and I must appreciate the work they've all done. I'm very impressed with the work you have done. My only issue is over the years, based on experience. See, when you do some of these stats, you have +3, -3 allowance for change. Even global InfoAnalytics, when you analyze their projection in the last election, if I'm supposed to talk to speak to you, I took far because they predicted 50 points something for His Excellency John Mahama, and His Excellency John Mahama had 57 points something.
57.
So if we are supposed to analyze it technically, I took far you understand? But because he said Mama will win, so we just Mama won. My own prof, all them I took far You said he will go to a second round. Yeah, understand? And that's why I'm saying that we are all prophets. I know they'll make an argument that they didn't check.
But just a quick one.
If you give me just a second, I want to go on the line and just engage Harry Nanabuachi, he's national organizer for the NPP, just to understand how well and how prepared they are for tomorrow's election. Harry, thank you for joining us this morning. So what kind of assurances and confidence are you giving to all of us as Ghanaians as well? Because tomorrow, at the end of the day, your election will give us assurances of how election processes will remain fair and very fair to all of us. How are you prepared for tomorrow?
Thank you very much, Amifa and the team. Good morning to you all. Yes, we are fully prepared for tomorrow. For the leadership of the New Patriotic Party, we've promised our delegates, our party, and Ghana at large one thing, that this election is going to be free, it's going to be fair, it's going to be transparent, it's going to be credible, and number 5, it's going to be peaceful. We've said that, and right from the start of this process, we had two important committees.
No, but if you can just reposition yourself so we can hear you.
Is it okay? Can you hear me now?
Quite better. Yes, quite better. Thank you.
Okay. So I was saying that right from the start of this process, we had two important committees. The vetting committee, which was headed by Dr. Bawumia, and then the elections committee headed by Honorable Joe Wise. So far, I'm happy and I'm satisfied that all the 5 presidential aspirants, they have expressed their satisfaction regarding the conduct and operations of the Presidential Elections Committee, and then the vetting committee as well. The Elections Committee carried them through the entire process. They wrote to them, they had 2 reps. So anytime they sit, if there are any thorny issues, if there are any problems at all, they meet with the reps of these presidential aspirants. And all of them, they've expressed that satisfaction. So I'm happy. Regarding the security of the elections, it is solely in the bosom of the Ghana police. 2 days ago, we picked intel that there will be some deployment from national security. And we have already come out with a release that we do not want the intrusion or the interference or the intervention of national security. They are not part of this process. We've been told that some non-uniformed men will be deployed and to these various voting centers or some voting centers. The only body mandated, the only body sanctioned by the Presidential Elections Committee to handle the security of this election is Ghana Police. In fact, the briefing we received from IGP Yonu and his team, the only place they've invited the intervention of the military would be the Boko Enclave. And it's for obvious reasons, because of the security issues there. That is the only place out of the over 300 voting centers or so.
Harry, though, so, why don't you have appetite for the national security at all in this process?
There are elements in the national security affiliated to the NDC who would want to deploy men to come and cause some problems, mayhem. In fact, even our own internal security, we have told them to rest, simply because the security of the elections is in the hands of the Ghana police.
Okay.
So we do not want this non-uniform men, any person deployed from national security or any other institute apart from the Ghana police. And that is the understanding we received from the IGP. IGP already and his men, they've already displayed enough capacity and professionalism to handle the entire election. So we are very comfortable with them. In fact, right from the printing of the ballot, we've had reps of these presidential aspirants there, the police were there. In fact, up to the time they were transporting all the elections materials to the various voting centers, we've had the police providing enough security. They have been, there are going to be some deployment of between 70 to 150 men per polling center and the collation centers. And again, after the election will start around 7 a.m. We are finishing exactly at 2 p.m.
Okay.
By 3 p.m., we have a setup at the headquarters.
Okay.
Where we will be expecting the Electoral Commission after. The Electoral Commission, again, let me also put this on record. The Electoral Commission is the only body mandated to announce officially the results of the presidential primaries. And we have a platform.
Why do we need to reiterate this?
Because we do not want anybody trying to say that, look, I've done my own collation, it appears to be official. That's fine. You can do your internal stuff. But it's important for us to know, for everybody to also be aware that the Electoral Commission is the body handling the electoral processes and then also the announcement of the final results from the presidential primaries.
So you said that by 3 p.m. there'll be a setup for the Electoral Commission, and then...
Yeah, as I speak, they are even doing the setup now as I speak. They are there.
Okay.
So by 3 p.m. we will start awaiting the Electoral Commission's official results to be announced. Okay. And then we will outdoor the newly elected presidential candidate. And then the newly elected presidential candidate will also give its speech.
How will this outdooring, what form and shape will the outdooring look? Would you have all 5 candidates at the head office after the Electoral Commission declares, then you're outdoor?
Yes, exactly. That is it. We've done it before. 2023, We did the same process. We waited for the Electoral Commission and the Presidential Elections Committee. The Presidential Elections Committee, first of all, will give their report. They will hand over to the Elections Committee, the Electoral Commission, sorry, to declare the official results, after which the National Chairman, General Secretary, would then also announce the newly elected presidential candidate, and then they will hand over the flag, because he's going to be the flag bearer now. We'll hand over the flag to the newly elected presidential candidate, and then all the other presidential aspirants will also be there, will also give their speeches before we get to the presidential candidate to also give his speech. So that will be the form. That will be the order.
You know that elections a little bit of anxiety, especially before a declaration, when they're collating the numbers. People's emotions can really go off the roof. What have you done as a party to manage people's emotions and curb anything untoward after the declaration?
Yes. First of all, we've told our party this is an internal elections. We've gone through it right from 92 to date. Yes, you may be supporting your candidate, but only one person will win. Over 211,000 delegates are going to cast their vote. They are going to declare who wins or who becomes the presidential candidate. If it is not your person, it doesn't mean that you have lost. It means you are part of the party. And then if you become the presidential candidate and you win, it is not your individual or your personal win. It is the party's collective win. So you need to rally everybody around. You need to unite the party. And MFA, this will be the first time a process is given the presidential candidate almost 3 years to prosecute an effective campaign, to rally the entire party behind him, prosecute an effective. This will be the only time, the first time we've had this. And yes, we came out of a very humiliating defeat. And sometimes you need to take some of these drastic, measures to make sure that at least you come back together to win political power.
Okay.
So everybody should calm down. We've had a smooth process. Tomorrow is going to be very smooth. And I don't think that anything untoward will happen tomorrow. We'll have a very smooth process tomorrow.
It's a big day for you tomorrow, Henry. I'll let you go so you're prepared. All the best to the NPP tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Emeka.
All right, back in studio. We were here and testing the mood. So all these delegates that we have seen, the numbers that we have seen, you say that the candidates that everything is pointing to reflects the mood of the delegates?
Yeah, the candidate, whoever they choose, reflect the spirit of the party.
Are we sure about this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure to reflect. But even before I go there, I think I was making a point about Prof.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in 2020, Prof came out with what's called an opinion poll, which was bullseye, spot on, 51.2. I think another one by 51.3, spot on. But in the last election, it was 47-48. Prof also did, I think, one fashion region, and it was also spot on. So generally, I think
we're all prophets. You still maintain that?
So generally, his polls usually are spot on. In the last election, so we need to interrogate.
Why?
Prof
to her.
So you, but you get it here.
But that's a general election, right?
Yeah, by 2020 in the general election, he was spot on.
99.
He was spot on. Maybe the pool, they didn't pull the impact of the movements, the movements living.
I see where you're going.
But you see, I'm pretty sure the NPP's election tomorrow is going to choose a candidate that reflects the party's spirit. You understand? And that's why a lot of people were shocked when they failed to deal with the spirit of the party. They failed to deal with the current value of the party. Because you have a situation where right now in NPP, when I meet any of their candidates, I ask any of their members, are you a virtual member? Or are you a fake member?
That thing.
You understand? The party, because you see, I hear Nana Boache say that for the first time they're going to have a candidate who has 3 years to campaign. But like, was it Prof who said this, or one of my co-colleagues just said that they are going to also have a candidate who may not necessarily represent what the people who will help him to campaign want. Because the people going to vote now may not necessarily be the people who will aid him campaign, because they are going to elect new people. You understand? And that, in my opinion, poses a big issue. But you see, I don't think I'll be fair to take them one by one and be analyzing their personality, their character, and you understand, that one, in my opinion, be too personal. But for me, what I feel comfortable to speak about, you understand, without attempting to be pious or, because when we analyze it, it's as if we ourselves, we are holy, but we are not. You understand? At the end of the day, the NPP, I'm very confident, will choose a candidate that represents their spirit. You understand? And the spirit of a party, in the words of Cicero, in the words of Jefferson, is the character, the virtue of the party. So it's very important that we understand the virtue of the party now. Because they are going to choose a candidate that represents that. When you listen to their campaign, it's sad because they're talking about party unity. But their campaign already has divided the party. In my entire life following politics, I've never heard a campaign premised on sinners, as in 10 cents of Bawumia.
I would have been drawn to your argument and quite agree. But knowing what delegates, the role of delegates in their decision, especially if it was a general election, then I'll be drawn to this debate.
No, you see, the reason why the reason it's very critical is, like Prof. Riley said, so even though it's an internal election, you're not going to, it's not going to end there. You're going to choose somebody, then present that person to Ghanaians. So when you are even campaigning, you must think about that also. So you are doing a campaign where one is sinners. So it became a right now. This is a sinners contest. 10 cents of Bawumia, 15 cents of this, 17 cents. It has also become a man-tam contest. Did you know here, Brian Champo, after their so-called
after the peace part?
I mean, man-tam number one. Man-tam. The word man-tam means we use man-tam for animals. You understand? So you have a senior member of the party that he man-tammed one of. Now, you also have a contest where another person is telling us that, listen, they say they are PhD holders, but they don't even read.
I think these are elections, and I think it's not surprising to see these things at all.
No, you see, what I'm saying, if the election was going to end with the NPP fair deal.
But we've seen it before. It happens and subsequently, the move ahead.
The Ghanaian, they'll move ahead, but we won't move ahead. Because they've done their own, but they'll come to us. Okay. We are not going to move ahead. So when they choose their candidate, do I want a candidate that has to be man-tammed? Or do I want a candidate where when he goes and represents me in the UN, I'm afraid that he will say, Madam.
I think after that election, we'll put the candidates of it, because it matters the other candidates of the other parties will present as well.
No, I'm Ghanaian. I'm going to vote. Right now, I'm being told that one of their candidates, who was 8 years the vice president of Ghana, is a liar. In fact, that's what he said. That's what one of them said. He is a liar. Do I want to choose any of them per their own words?
But you see, my pushback is that we don't know who the other parties are presenting.
But I know
and we don't know the sense of that person as well. So you're going to be presented with two, for the purpose of this conversation, two devils, then you choose the less devil.
No, but at the end of the day, I know that for a fact, per their own words, that whoever they, apart from Agyapong, I didn't hear a sense of but all the rest, I know for a fact. Because I can assure you that from the UP, and I'm sure that this won't do that. We won't come and say that a sinner. No. But we know that there's a sinner. Yeah. 4 out of 5, we will get a sinner. We also know that there's a high probability we'll get somebody who will be man-tammed, who has to be man-tammed. Man-tammed. We also know that we may get somebody who is a liar. And these are their words, and that's what I'm saying.
The choice will be for the NPP. I want to go
to... No, but you keep on forgetting.
I hear you.
After they make their choice,
yes,
the people of Ghana will have to make decisions.
And my push,
you can't market a lie to me. So
you don't know who they are going to...
So you can't market to me a man.
My question to you,
I thought you've excluded me from this conversation.
Because
you can't exclude it.
You can also do yourself like your former president.
Let me state clearly and emphatically that whoever NPP is going to present to us is going to face a humiliating defeat in 2028. No doubt about that. I've said it over and over. let me repeat that whoever, if NDC, we continue along the path we've charted in the last 12 months, 1 year, if we continue along that path, it doesn't matter. So for us, we're not bothered whoever is elected tomorrow.
That's it.
Let me also say
Honorable.
that I strongly believe in science and data, and I've followed polls over and over. However, when it comes to delegate system of election, it is completely a different ball game altogether.
Which is what my question comes
let me
to,
tell you.
When delegates
Let's go back to 2014 in Tamale NPP when they were going for their national conference there. All polls were pointing to overwhelming victory for Sir John. But he was defeated by Kwabena Agyapong as the national secretary of the party in Tamale. In 2022, who gave Justin Kodua a dog's chance against John Boadu? I followed the polls then, and they were all pointing to overwhelming victory for John Boadu as the general secretary. But he was annihilated by Justin Kodua. What I want to stress here is that when it comes to delegate system, it is very difficult to get a prediction right because people would not be honest to tell you where their vote is going because of what they are expecting in the delegates election. You know the ways and means in that. And again, the very morning, in fact, there is a conference I attended that the very morning there was somebody vying for chairman and he was overwhelming favorite. We thought there was no contest. Just there, one statement uttered at the conference ground changed the whole thing. Another one favorite candidate was accused of hoarding money that has been given to him to distribute to delegates for TNT.
Here comes my question because I have just 3 minutes to wrap up and I need to take 5 hours.
Even though all the polls are pointing to
Honorable,
a
so when
victory
it comes
for
to delegate system, the factors people use for polling, is it genuinely influenced or it is really the money that people pay? Is it the highest bidder? Or it is really the other factors? You are a politician.
Let's not be hypocrites.
Okay.
Money can change whatever the posters.
So it's the highest bidder?
No, what I'm saying, it can also influence. So people may tell you, I will vote for candidate A, depending on what they get last minute, can change their voting patterns. So it is going to be very difficult. And for me, what I see here, I don't see an outright winner tomorrow. I'm expecting a second round, and if it goes to a second round, I'm privy to conversation amongst 3 candidates who, in principle, have agreed to merge their ticket, and it could be different thing altogether. That is my anticipation. But as I've said, it doesn't matter whoever emerges tomorrow. Whoever emerges will come and face a formidable NDC presidential candidate. And let me also state clearly that the mad slanging, the chaos associated with this NPP campaign, I can assure you, we haven't gotten there yet.
When we get
we are learning our lessons, but you will never see this in our upcoming. You will never see this in our upcoming presidential. We've had our fair share in Kofodia, in Legon in the past, but we've learned our lessons, and you will never see this in our upcoming.
I want to hear.
So bring on. Whoever is elected,
we were here a few minutes ago talking about Baba Nocho. All of a sudden, good understand. When he had the floor,
anyway,
let somebody.
The issue is very simple. This is one of the most consequential elections, internal elections for this MPP in their history for so many years. 211,300 centers, no proxy. It's huge. And I pray and I hope they come out clean. The issue about predictions or posters and all those things.
And prophecy.
and prophecy, they are all to help you gauge your campaign strategies and all that. They are not, in reality, what you are going to get. So I hope all these candidates will not. They can rely on those numbers to help plan and strategize. That's all we get. So I don't really think that they will learn their lessons. They will learn from the figures they are channeling out there. But the key thing that I want us to understand, that delegates will not vote based on noise. They will vote based on survival and security.
Interesting.
Some.
Well, at this stage, that's what we say. But in reality, that's how it's supposed to be. Where the history of the party over the years, where they have come from up to today. If you're going to allow money to influence you, the future will be at stake.
Right.
So those who are listening, we hope. I don't know that among these the flag bearers, which of them will be able to pay huge sums of money for all these delegates? I don't know.
Anyway, Prof, I've got a few seconds, just a few seconds, Prof. You will take your final words.
I see. So I want to support what Professor Bodi just said in respect of the essence of polls, the essence of it. And that is what makes ours different from the prophecies. The prophecies makes it look like if it doesn't come through, then God has lied. Something like that. But as for scientific polls, all right, I'll give you regional breakdowns so that if you have your own data, you compare to see whether yours collaborates with mine or otherwise. Then it directs you as to where to do what you need to do. When I predicted 2020, I had some NPP members who said, upon all the free SHS, you have this, you have that, you have going to take money from NDC, this, that. How do we move from 55 or so percent, 54% to 51? And you are telling me NDC is moving from 43 to 47. This, that, a lot of backlash. Eventually, they took it not serious. And then the prediction was confirmed 100%. Yeah. Like, who does that? Is the researcher God? So it comes for those who understand the essence of research. Work at it so that we can come and discuss the differences between the predicted and the actual. Yeah. If any prediction is confirmed 100%, then it means the users of the data are not in quotes reasonable. Like they are not wise. They don't read. They don't. Right. They don't do.
Well, I suppose we've had quite a great conversation this morning ahead of tomorrow's polls, and of course, you don't want to miss anything on your election headquarters here on the Joy News. We start exactly at 6 a.m. We'll take you along the processes onto the final declaration. You do not want to miss. Tune into all of our channels, 6 a.m. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And before I go for a break and get to E-Corner with Noella, I'd like to wish a happy birthday to Madame Elom Jeffy, wishing you a day filled with joy, love, and blessings, and may God continue to bless and keep you. This is coming to you from Maxwell Akloboto here at the Joy Newsroom. And as well, a happy birthday to you, Gifty, of our social media team. We love you so much and all the work that you are doing. And a special good morning to OSP Susie Akpere. Thank you so much, Mommy. I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you. Please stay. Well, Noella, please comes up. Noella comes up with E-Corner. No colors in my ears.
Climate change is driving migration, particularly among rural female farmers who move to cities like Accra and Kumasi to engage in informal work such as head poaching. While often viewed as a negative consequence, this migration has become a crucial strategy for household resilience, with migrants sending remittance back home to help families cope with climate change impact. Remittances serve as a safety net, enabling families to adapt to changing environmental conditions. However, there's a lack of data on migration's impact on household well-being through remittances. Migrants face reintegration challenges and risky practices, with many experiencing urban poverty and low earnings.
Mama omo ahwan na be kwa akoma omo nti me ye adwuma na omo pa bibia me to me wo bi nkwa de mema me ne bi kura me force anya bi ama omo me busia nkwa na wo me ba na eda me nan su me se me nye adwuma me se this kama me mama no asham me free wala ha se ye bre no ba ye krom de ye mbre sa ye mbre so ye nye sika wo ho no anso bre obenya bi so ne de ento wo ho no nti eme aduane na entima anye bebre se da ya no entima anye se ne mo te se me ba no sa no hu fa na omo be ka kire na mama omo sika ene me nwia ne mo.
Many migrants do not experience the improved quality of life they expect, facing urban poverty, low earnings, and social stress. A headquarter shared how slow the market is, linking it to cheap prices people offer.
Me babe anya enough na me nyama hana me market nye
kai you know se ti aye nanti aye nya adwuma egusi sresre ya manfo se o momfa ya adwuma bebre so o mompene fire enti ye sre nyankopo se nye sika na yanko
adwuma na nye na se adwuma ne enhye ambassador.
Lead Sage Initiative Ghana, Dr. Bawumia has revealed that traditionally migration from the north involved men, but since the mid-2010s, more women are migrating due to empowerment, economic pressure, and education. These women are forced to move due to climate crisis, engage in head poaching to support their families facing unpredictable rains and drought.
In Ghana, the northern region, they are located in a dry, harsh zone. So when they have prolonged droughts, when they have unpredictable rainfall distribution, it affects their agricultural productivity, which in turn affects their livelihood because they're dependent on this agricultural productivity. So in turn, some of them have to find ways to supplement their household income, and some of them adopt certain strategies. But most in recent years, migration has become quite popular. So some of them have some household members move down south. When they move down south, some of them, the most popular should I say work they do is what is known as karaye. So when they come, they get some money and they send it back home, and that's known as remittances. The household then can use the money to supplement their income. So remember that the agricultural productivity will be affected because of the negative effects of climate change. In fact, the studies prove it, that households that receive remittances are much more likely to build climate resilience as compared to households that do not receive remittances.
In a further development, Dr. Bawumia says migration is often viewed negatively due to the strain on social amenities in urban centers, but this is the time for government to intervene.
For migration to be promoted as an adaptation tool, the government needs to acknowledge it as an adaptation tool. When you look at the National Adaptation Plan, it's not explicitly stated that migration is an adaptation. So we need migration to be accepted as an adaptation tool or acknowledged as an adaptation tool. Hereby, we can have structures put in place that can govern migration. That right now, when remittances are sent home, in as much as it helps households, it's considered as a private money. The government doesn't have any role to play in it, and it can be used how the household. For instance, we can have remittances tax reduced, right? So we can have taxes placed on our remittances. They should be reduced. Then we can encourage the migrants in Accra or in the big cities. When they're remitting, they can have a public fund they can send money into it where they are sure that it is reduced, the tax is reduced, and there are certain systems in place whereby such remittances can be used for some of the things back home, like irrigation systems and storage facilities and training of farmers on how to cope with climate change.
Climate change-related migration is a multifaceted issue that presents both challenges and opportunities. As communities adapt to an increasingly unstable climate, the role of remittances will be critical in shaping their resilience and recovery. By understanding and addressing the interplay between climate migration and remittances, stakeholders can work towards sustainable solutions by joining voices to view migration as an adaptation tool, serving as a climate resilience strategy for farmers in the northern part of the country.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund.
I am back, guys. I am so back. It's the first show of the year, for eCorner. And I know I've been missing in action for about 3 weeks. Yeah, I had to take a break and rest because I needed it. But anyway, Happy New Year. It's our first time meeting. And so, yeah, Happy New Year. I'm hoping you're doing fantastic. And of course, to open our show for today, I have a banger for you. Now, over the past few days, millions of people across the world watched Ghana not through a polished tourism advert, not through a documentary, but through a live stream. A live stream that was raw, was unpredictable, and happening in real time. American streamer IShowSpeed, on his personal African tour, arrived in Ghana with a camera, a massive global audience, and of course, no script. Now, Ghana didn't invite him. Ghana did not control the narrative, but Ghana showed up. From food to music, from everyday street life to our history, and of course, our humor. What unfolded on that stream sparked conversations across the continent, and of course, beyond. It sparked conversations about culture, about identity, about readiness, and what it means to open ourselves to the world as we truly are. And so this morning, we are asking, what was the thinking behind how Ghana responded to that moment? And what does it mean for how we do tourism in real time? We'll get into that. But first, take a look at some highlights from IShowSpeed's visit to Ghana.
Dis-moi où es-tu caché? Ça doit faire au moins 1000 fois que j'ai compté mes doigts. Hey. Où t'es, papa, où t'es? Où t'es, papa, où t'es? Où t'es, papa, où t'es? Où t'es, où t'es, papa, où t'es? 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 Où t'es, où t'es, papa, où t'es?
Wasn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. So you've just seen moments from IShowSpeed's visit to Ghana, moments that were watched live by millions and replayed endlessly online. Now, joining me via Zoom to unpack the thinking, the strategy, the lessons, and of course, the conversations that followed is the Deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Abeku Santana. Abeku, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know how much of an inconvenience this was to you, given your schedule. You're outside the country, but thank you. Can you unmute so that I can hear you?
Yes, Noella, good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you so much for having me, and good morning to your cherished viewers.
So I want this to be a very open, reflective conversation, not just about what worked, but about what we're learning as a country navigating global attention in real time. And so I guess my first question to you would be, when it became clear that I Should Speed was coming to Ghana, you know, as part of his African tour, because he had announced that, what went into the decision to intentionally lean into that moment rather than, you know, treat it as just one other, you know, celebrity visit?
Well, thank you once again. I bring you greetings from the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Honorable Mamaga Ablajifa Gomashi, who directs the vision of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama in resetting Ghana's tourism agenda by positioning Ghana as the most attractive cultural heritage destination in Africa, and of course, as cultural capital. And leadership of Honorable Mrs. Mamiefua Wajetu, my boss, whom I serve as her deputy. Now, your question. So about 2 months ago, if not more, the iShow team in America contacted the Ghana Tourism Authority to, you know, as it were, help, you know, facilitate the visit of iShow Speed Africa Tour, which Ghana is among the 25 destinations that he has selected to visit.
Right.
And had a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA agreement with us, which did not allow us to disclose any information regarding his visit and whatever he was going to do until the day that he arrives in the country. So we complied with the directive or the terms in the Memorandum of Understanding or the NDA. Now, there was a ground handling team. The ground handling team is a private event companies that came together to design his itinerary and activities. But as the heat and time was getting closer for Ghana's part of his visit, the team contacted us if we could fine-tune the itinerary.
Right.
The full itinerary was not disclosed to us until maybe 24 hours to his visit. So we took advantage of the opportunity to display Ghana's rich culture and heritage. And here, let me commend the National Security Coordinator and his deputy, who were very, very instrumental in the whole process. And I would also like to commend the IGP and the Director of Operations for the Ghana Police Service, who also deployed officers in also ensuring the smooth operation of the exercise that you saw.
Right.
Then I also like to commend the Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority, whose office and professionalism saw the clearance of equipment, gadgets of the crew to have access into the country. Then, of course, the Minister for Interior and the Comptroller of Ghana Immigration Services. Then the Ghana Tourism Authority team that facilitated all these processes or protocols before iShow Speed could arrive in the country with his private jet and get visa on arrival for his crew and get access into the country and with police security escort to his hotel before the day of the activation itself and other things. And here I also like to commend Mr. Yao of Wankra, the Director General for the National Sports Authority. What you saw at Bukum Boxing Arena, you know, was his creation, you know, together and the support from Legacy Rise Promotion. And the Office of the Diasporan Affairs, my brother Kofi Ochredako. So there's a whole lot of people behind what you saw.
So if I get what you mean, especially the thought about him not sending his itinerary only 24 hours before he came into the country, would you say he wanted some sort of spontaneity with his whole, like, you know, experience here in Ghana?
Precisely, that could be his thought. And if you have followed the mechanics or the way iShow Speed does his live streaming, he wants his space to do his things. You understand? A lot of people don't know that iShow Speed present himself to be dumb, but he's not dumb. He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
You know, the fun that he does and the things that he does, you know, for people to have fun.
He's very
intentional, very intentional about them. And he wanted to display or demonstrate Ghana in a certain way. And he had seen the love, the passion, the enthusiasm with which other countries had received him. But he wanted to project Ghana differently. And he wouldn't want too much distractions because the mechanics of his streaming is such that when he's live, he can't break it. He's live from the start to the end. So any interruptions that would delay the activities that he wants to do will affect his plan. So he didn't want all those things to come out so that it could affect. In Nigeria, the experience was ISOSpeed was rude. Rude because some people obstructed, delayed the things that he wanted to do. So if you realize after the Nigeria incident episode, he came out to explain that he's not rude, but this and that.
Yeah.
So we learned from the
Nigerian
experience to make sure that we did not, bring the information. If you notice, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park posted that ISOSpeed was coming there and even mentioned the time. That made it change his itinerary altogether because they were not supposed to post it.
Okay.
So later they pulled down the post. Yes, because he would have probably started from Independence Square or somewhere, which I don't know, but he didn't want us to mention it. So that he will go there and have an immersive experience himself. But when people come and meet him, he loves it. But he has an agenda. He knows what he wants to do. For instance, they flip back at the Black Star Square. It's something that he had planned. It's intentional. That's what he wanted to do. You must see on the spur of the moment that he's doing something, but he knows what he wants to do. I want to also comment, there are some faces, unknown faces behind the scene that I collaborated with. And here, let me comment the Director of International Marketing at Ghana Tourism Authority. Her name is Annabelle Mackenzie. Annabelle Mackenzie brought me on board to the local organizing team, together with Mr. Ananisia, also a colleague deputy CEO in charge of general services, and of course with the supervision and direction leadership from our CEO, Honorable Mamiefu Awajeto, who directed us. Now, in the process, they wanted to explore some side attraction, but the team had to do the feasibility and assessment, looking at the time that he wanted to spend, whether it's possible or not. So you realize that in last minute, the helicopter came in last hour. In fact, the helicopter came in the day of his streaming, in the morning.
The chopper experience was also another highlight. We'll get into that. But I noticed the intention behind immersing speed into our culture, not only our culture, but also our everyday life. We gave him a feel of our rural and urban experience as well. Would you say that was deliberate?
Yes, it was deliberate. And all the touch points, like I said, they had a non-disclosure agreement. They knew that he was coming. The traditional leaders, they knew that he was coming, but they could not disclose.
It was beautiful.
Waterfalls, they knew. Hamamat knew about it. The Honorable Minister, Jifa Gomashi, mentioned Hamamat, Shebata Museum to me, I think about 2-3 weeks even before he arrived.
Now,
so they knew.
Abeko, with live content, I do a lot of live presentations, and so I know what I'm saying. You lose a degree of control, but then you also gain authenticity. How did you balance coordination with, allowing things to unfold naturally?
And that's why I commended the National Security, the Ghana Police Service. So they were also the force behind the smooth operation of the whole event, as you saw. We did not control. On our part, we did what we were supposed to do in terms of facilitation and coordination among the various touch points. But the security operation control was under the remit of the security service, the National Security and the Ghana Police Service. Yeah, they did the whole control because before he arrived at Bukum, the police were there in the morning. The National Security were there. before. I know Agyapong and co had meetings, even the helicopter taking off. You need permit before you can move helicopter, from one point to the other. Along the line, the itinerary even changed. At one point it had to start from Usu Stadium and then Independence Square. It kept changing.
Right.
But I want to commend the team. It was a collective effort that we all came together to ensure that Ghana.
And of course, that collective effort translated to the kind of responses we've seen people show on social media. Many people across Africa said they felt represented by how Ghana showed up, not just Ghanaians. So obviously, that continental perception, was that part of the thinking process, you would say? Or you think that the response, surprised you?
You see, content creation, marketing largely thrives on storytelling. Okay. And we wanted a story that represents Ghana's culture, our identity, and how unique we are. Right. We had seen what he had done in Egypt, going live in the pyramid for the first time. We had seen the safari in Kenya, and we had seen the Morocco experience and the Ethiopia experience. But we also needed to tell our story. And our story is a unique story, our way of life. So we appreciate the concerns of Ghanaians, especially those who wanted him to visit some of our tourist sites and attractions. But due to some technical challenges and the constraint with time, that is what we could show. And we have to commend Ghanaians for the enthusiasm with which they received, our brother. Now, prior to his visit, if you go and check his post, Speed had consistently over time mentioned that he's a Ghanaian, he comes from Ghana, his mother is a Ghanaian, Ghana is a place that he was. So everything that you saw, though it seems unplanned, I think that there was good amount of thinking, strategy, and planning behind it. That is why you saw that smooth success of Ghana right now receiving talkability, traction across, the global space.
And I'm sure at the Ghana Tourism Authority, you lot have made your assessment so far about what happened. Per that assessment, what do you think this exposure has done differently from the traditional tourism marketing we've relied on in the past?
Converting a viral story into a destination. So Ghana's destination, we know, is cultural heritage. But this is the first time we've had a story online that has put Ghana on the global, space, receiving what we call a search engine optimization or large language model, under AI. If today you search about Ghana in any search engine or search about tourism in Ghana, the Speed experience that gained global prominence with over 50 million viewers, with more than 20 million also following Destination Ghana, will certainly push Ghana on top as one of Africa's leading tourism destinations. So for us, the narrative is how this global appeal and presence with Speed streaming is positioning Ghana. Nightlife, the culture, the people, the food, the tradition, and all other experiences, through the content that he created for us. We are leveraging on this as a digital, currency, using the visuals and all his videos in our marketing campaigns.
Right.
Because it's a public listing. We're going to sell it. You understand? This is PR that we didn't pay for it.
Right. And we're wrapping up. Now, the symbolic gesture of issuing a Ghanaian passport also has generated a lot of public discussion. It has also generated a lot of admiration from some and questions from others. But as Deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, how should Ghanaians understand that moment within the broader context of tourism and cultural diplomacy?
Well, thank you for the question, and I'm surprised some Ghanaians are asking this question about the citizenship passport given to Aishu Speed. You know that even as a previous government had citizenship program that we offer citizenship to Ghanaians, any national who traces his root to Ghana and has shown consistent, affection or love for our country, and even contributed in investment and so on and so forth. The Office of the Diaspora and Affairs, that is the work that they do.
Right.
Now, with regards to Aishu Speed, we know his influence, his global influence. But what even surprised me is the fact that even our brother Wudimaya received a passport of Burkina Faso, and Burkina-based did not complain about it. So why are Ghanaians complaining about it?
So you think we're being petty?
Sorry?
You think we're being petty?
Not necessarily, but I think we don't understand the value and the importance of these gestures or these moves. You understand? It's a strategic, as you said, cultural diplomacy, leveraging on its influence to drive, attraction to our country. Look, if you decide to engage an influencer to market your destination for you, my dear sister, if you look at the influence of Aishu Speed, we can afford that millions of dollars for him to sell our country for us. Giving him this Ghanaian passport offers him the opportunity, unfettered access to come to the country. And again, we are giving him an identity. None of these countries that he went, he had an identity. He has an identity as a Ghanaian. We've given him a Ghanaian name. We have given him a Ghanaian passport. So now, among all the 25 countries that he visited or he put on the map, Ghana is the only country that accepted him. So that's a fact.
Of course, we gave him a Ghanaian name, Berima Kofi Ekufu.
Right.
Which he was really excited about.
So why are people not complaining that why have you given him a Ghanaian name because you're not a Ghanaian? It's all part of the process.
Right.
It's all part of the agenda, to leverage on his influence or his appeal to drive traction to our country. And don't forget, it's not only tourism as in leisure, but also investment, economic investment.
Absolutely.
You understand? Because he said, I feel like buying a house in Ghana.
All right, yeah, he did say that. You're absolutely right. And I did see that video. Thank you so much, Abeku. There's so much we haven't touched on. I wanted us to take also talk about the content creation and influencer economy here, how this would inform as whether supporting them or not going forward. But it's fine. I'd find time, come by the office so we have that conversation and wrap it up beautifully. But thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. It's
I really
absolute
appreciate
pleasure. And thanks to your wonderful team and the opportunity given me.
Thank you, Abeku. All right, so we just wrapped up a conversation with the Deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Abeku Santana. He's been wonderful this morning, educating us about the thinking or the thought process that went into Aishu Speed's experience here in Ghana, that spectacle that has been commended by many across Africa. And that's it for our show this morning. My name is Noella Kareniali, and on behalf of MFR Deti and the whole team, we say thank you so much for joining us this morning. Up next is Mamiesi Thompson, the beautiful Mamiesi Thompson, with Joy News Desk. Stay tuned in.